The Sailing Champions League is such a great idea, you wonder why it hasn't been done years ago. 23 yacht clubs from all across Europe, and one from Oman, have flown to Copenhagen to compete in 3 intense days of racing. The 4-person crews take it in turns to compete in short, sharp races lasting no more than 15 minutes. All the boats are evenly matched J70s with a focus on sharp crew work and quick decision making. One of the hot favourites is the yacht club from the north of Germany, Norddeutsche Regatta Verein, with Carsten Kemmling and his team, the winners of the German Sailing League for the past 2 seasons. They won their first race, they finished second in the next, but then the wheels fell off Norddeutsche's wagon in their final race of the day after taking a penalty from the on-the-water umpires. The racing was so close that on-the-spot penalties were bound to be a big feature of the competition. If you can just get a good start and avoid the traffic jams, you have a good chance of success. Lorenzo Bressani and Socolo Canottieri Agnelli sailed very well to lie in second overall, joint with Royal Danish Yacht Club, skippered by Michael Hesbeck. But it's Rob Greenhalgh and Aman Sail who are currently beating the European teams at the top of the leaderboard. With 2 days to go, however, it's far too early to predict who will win the Sailing Champions League.
And welcome to day 2. We've got the sunshine, we've got the wind, and we've already had some great racing this morning in Copenhagen, and we are looking forward to some more great racing in just a moment. I'm Andy Rice. I'm commentating with Marcus Bauer. Welcome, Marcus. We're in for a great day.
Hi, Andy. We're in flight number 6 of 15 flights that we will have this weekend, and we're in the 3rd race of this flight. To explain the format briefly, the fleet of 23 clubs is split up into 3 racing fleets of 8 boats. That means there's one flight that only has 7 boats, and so that for every flight they do 3 races, then that concludes one flight and gives us a complete leaderboard after every flight. So we're entering today's racing at the midpoint of flight number 6, and that is all in all race number 17. Quite a lot of races we already had here with really good conditions on this compact stadium city race course, which works beautifully. We've got a good view over the race course, and we're now waiting for race number 17.
Now, from our commentary position, looking right across to the other side, to the factory building on the other side, that was from where the wind was coming from yesterday, which was an easterly direction. Today, the wind is blowing from right to left as we look out from our commentary position, as you can see on the screen at the moment. So on the left of picture, we have the start line, and they will be sailing to the right up towards the centre of Copenhagen, which is to the south of here. So we've got a quite different wind direction. Earlier in the morning, the breeze was a little bit further left, and it seemed to be paying to go left, and some of the sailors have been saying there's a little bit of current there as well. So it's actually taking them back off the start line. So getting across the start line is a little bit more difficult than normal because the tide is, or the current is taking you back off the start line, which hopefully means we don't have as many boats over before the start as we saw yesterday.
Yeah, but we just before we started the show, we got notice from the race committee that there was an early start in the race before. One boat that was over and didn't go back and clear itself. So they do happen. The start line is a little bit shorter than it was yesterday, maybe. Maybe that's part of the reason why that happens. Yep, but as you said, we've got southeasterly winds today. The forecast that I saw predicted it to swing a little bit further to the south. That would mean it would come right down the channel along Langelinie here, maybe stabilizing the breeze a bit more. But I think it is a very interesting breeze, and we'll have exciting races to come. Would you think that it's a bit of a single-sided track today?
Well, it's the way that they were sailing, it certainly seemed to be that way earlier in the morning. It seemed when the breeze was slightly further left, they were sailing over to the far shore from where we are, and they seemed quite fixated on the left-hand side. And also Russell Peters from Royal Thames Yacht Club was saying there's a little bit less current on that side, so maybe you were escaping some of the current getting that way. But I did see a boat. It was boat number 8. It was the only boat to go around the right-hand side of the gate, and and it went from dead last to third in that race. And then there was another race where there was a boat in seventh, and it went the opposite way. It went to the right-hand side when everyone else went to the left, and it ended up winning that race. So there are opportunities on the right-hand side, and I think that the sailors are feeling that as the breeze has moved further to the right and the breeze is blowing straight down the track, that the difference between left and right is a lot reduced now, so it's a much more open racetrack.
Well, we'll find out in the next 2 or 3 hours what's going on in this race course, if there are any clear patterns, or if you just if the tacticians on board just have to be very much aware of the gusts which are blowing down here. Maybe they make all the difference. Maybe there's a bit of current. Will be interesting to talk to some of the tacticians on board, to some of the skippers, to learn about the current, whether it's different throughout this channel. Yep, exciting and interesting races to come, and I think we only have 2.5 minutes to the start.
Yes, we do. Before we get on to the start, let's just quickly see how the results are lying now after 5 flights. So we have a change of leader, because last night it was Oman Sail. Now it's the Italians from Rome, Soccolo Canottieri Agnelli, who are now leading by just a fraction of a point ahead of Oman Sail, followed by the Royal Danish Yacht Club, followed by Norddeutsche Regatta Verein, the reigning German champions in the league, and it's all extremely close on points, as you can see, and very many different nations represented. We've got Switzerland in 6th, Tunisia Yacht Club, we've got the Spanish in 8th, so we've got a good representation across Europe, with Oman Sail still in 2nd, so still doing very well, but we are now coming quite close.
Andy, where's your fellow countryman?
Nowhere to be seen on the first set of...
It's a bit unusual for a proud sailing nation like yours.
They will come good when it matters.
All right. We'll watch them.
So the Blue Peter is up. That means that we've got less than 2 minutes to go. I think we have about 1 minute 20 seconds until the start.
Let's briefly go through the clubs which take part in this race. It's the Tunisia Yacht Club from Switzerland. Then there's Real Club Nautico de Gran Canaria from Spain, Ketamine Sail Club, locals from Denmark, Royal Gothenburg Yacht Club from Sweden, Norddeutscher Regatta Verein from Hamburg in Germany, Sport Nautique del West from France, Czujniki Klub Żeglarski from Poland, Union Yacht Club Attersee from Austria.
So a great spread of nations there, and let's see who can do well in this one. Norddeutsche Regatta Verein, they've come 3rd and they've won their other race so far today, so they seem to be back on form after a little bit of a wobble yesterday evening when they took 3 penalties in one race. We've got 30 seconds until the start, and everyone is stacking up to the left of our screen as we see now. You'll see them come into picture soon. It seems that most boats want to get somewhere near the committee boat for their start. They want the right-hand side this time round. 18 seconds, and it's boat number 4 that is leading in. That's the Swedish from Gothenburg. They seem to be booking the left-hand end of the line for themselves. And the breeze is blowing pretty strongly at the moment. It's blowing about 12, maybe 14 knots, and they're all just about to get launched. And I heard a whistle then. I'm not sure what happened. We'll see if there is an individual recall flag, and I think we have that. So it could be that boat number 7 was over. Let's see. Looks like they're turning back round. Now, yesterday, Marcus, I heard that when we were making our predictions about who was over, some of the sailors were actually hearing our commentary. Oh. So I don't know if that's outside assistance. But anyway, it seems like the sailors are picking up what we're saying. Either way, boat number 7 has gone back and restarted, and they have exonerated themselves, but it's a high price to pay. That's the Polish that have gone back to restart.
They actually didn't pass the start line before the start. They wanted to dive in from on top, but missed out on that, didn't quite go behind the line and had to go back again.
Right, okay, so they're never behind in the first place. So we've got boat number 2 coming out to the right-hand side in front of our commentary position, and that is the Spanish, and they seem to have a mixed bag of they're capable of winning races, and then they have some pretty awful races where they pick up penalties and others. So far so good for them, going out to the right hand side, and there's good breeze on our side of the course, and you can see that on the right of picture. There are good streams of gust coming down this side.
Currently, the left side seems to be winning. Looking at the SAP Sailing Analytics, they're ahead a little bit. They're reaching the far end now. They're getting into the light breeze. They've tacked, and they're now crossing over converging towards the middle again. This is the Swedish Yacht Club here on the left side. In second position is the Union Yacht Club from Austria, Kerteminde in third position, and Norddeutscher Regattaverein is actually this boat here on the left in quite an interesting position, heading towards the windward mark. Breeze looks a little bit soft on the left-hand side. Could be the gusts not touching the water, though. Maybe a meter or more above the water. They will have good breeze already. We can see the boats are leaning in, so there is good wind, even though you can't see it on the water surface.
And as we were told earlier, there may be less current on that side as well, so that might be helping them out as well. And it certainly looks like it's coming good for the left. You see boat number 3 there in picture, and that is Kerteminde Sailing Club in the yellow anoraks, and number 5 is NRV. That's the Germans who were doing very well for most of yesterday, have been doing well so far this morning, skippered by Carsten Kemling in a good strong tactical position there on the left-hand side of the track. Now the boats on the right are converging in the middle, but it hasn't worked out that well for most of the boats on the right.
There's one boat, the Sport Nautique de l'Ouest from France, which is looking quite promising. They could come in ahead of the rest. Yep, that looks very good for them. If they make that windward mark now, they'll be in the lead.
So we've seen some very, very narrow ley lines earlier in some of the races today. Can they make it?
They got the attack again.
Have they got enough momentum to get round? Can the French do that? It looks like they've just about got away with it, and that was good sailing by the French. They had to shoot the mark. They had to sail head to wind to get up there. Purple Jenica goes up, and they've got quite a nice lead there because the boat round in second has got a bit of a stutter on getting that Jenica up. But
that's the Union Yacht Club from Austria in second position. And in third, we have Norddeutscher Regattaverein. They're now trying to sail over the Union Yacht Club. Won't manage, as it looks.
It seems like that's a pretty risky kind of tactic on such a short course. You've got to be pretty confident that you're going to roll over the top of the boat in front if you're going to make that work.
Yeah, they might have trouble jibing now with the fourth boat following them a lot deeper, which is Gothenburg Sail Club.
And this looks like it's the making jibe at the moment. There isn't any reason for anyone to do a jibe set. The first jibe we've seen has only just happened, and that's the Blue Jenica. And that was, who was it? I'm trying to remember who was second. Kerteminde, was it?
I saw a penalty turn on Thunersee Yacht Club back in the pack. Interesting attacking maneuver here by the Union Yacht Club from Austria, heading towards the Little Mermaid. But the other boats seem to go low and fast in the middle of the course, and really, that boat, the Union Yacht Club, seems to go perpendicular to the racetrack. Risky move, but nice breeze coming behind them. Maybe it's going to pay off more than we think.
The boats in third and fourth are still sailing on a nice deep angle on starboard jibe, so it was a risky move by the Austrians doing what they've done. But let's see how it works out for them.
NRV is in a bit of trouble. They've gotten onto the outside track. They're now stuck onto the right side of the
But most boats seem to want to go on the far side of the gate anyway. It looks like the leaders are going to choose.
Interesting situation here. Can they pass the mark ahead of the NRV? Yes, they'll get around. Union Yacht Club going for the left side mark, getting inside room there. NRV takes the left side gate mark, the far mark, heads out to the left side of the course. So we've got a nice split here. 2 boats going left, 2 boats going right. Who's going to win? Andy.
Who's going to win? I like the way they're heading out to the far side of the track at the moment.
This side doesn't look bad either.
No, they're quite well lifted on this side as well, and I was very impressed by that handbrake turn that the Austrians pulled at that mark in boat number 8. I thought that was really well executed, and they made that work. They took a bit of a risk down the run. It didn't really look like it had worked out, but they just managed to claim their inside rights at that mark and just got ahead of boat number 4 just in time, which is the Swedish from Gothenburg. And the Swedish are sitting in bad air. How long they'll put up with that, sitting in the bad air of the Austrians, I'm not sure. And there they tack away. That's the Swedish looking for some clear air. The Austrians tacking soon afterwards. They're out of picture at the moment, but I can tell you that the Austrians have tacked, and there was some sort of incident raised by somebody, but there's a green flag from the umpires. I'm not sure what the issue was there.
Good breeze on the right-hand side, but they're certainly not lifted. They're going back deep. That makes the Swedes tack again. They hate that header, don't they?
Yeah, so that was 2 tacks in quick succession for the Swedes, quite expensive for them, and I wondered if anyone's actually going to bother to tidy up the spinnaker lines trailing out the back of the boat, but maybe they got other things to think about.
NRV is putting their money on the far side of the course, on the left course, not going super fast there at the moment, but a decent angle.
So far it's not worked out terribly well for the Austrians going up the middle of the course on starboard. I think the boats that took the left-hand mark and went to the far side of the course seem to be profiting from that so far.
Maybe it is the current that makes the difference. Would be good to speak to the technicians and to hear what they have to say about this.
That was the Swiss that we saw attacking just then, just going out of picture. And number 6 is the French. Still looking good further up the track. They've sailed a good solid race so far. They managed to sneak around just ahead at the first windward mark, and so often we see people under-tacking the ley line for starboard, on the starboard ley line for the green top mark, so it seems like you need to put a little bit extra in the bank just because it's so shifty up at the top end.
The Swedes that had tacked back earlier because they didn't like that header, they've now overtaken the Union Yacht Club, which continued further to the left. So they're out of bad air now.
Out of bad air, and they proved to be correct in going and looking for more breeze further out to the right. They didn't like sitting on that header that they were on, whereas the Austrians were prepared to put up with that header, and maybe with retrospect they shouldn't have done.
NRV still in solid second position, and the lead is with Sport Nautique del West, rounding windward mark now, hoisting their kite. Quite a decent lead. NRV follows them, second place. And GKSS now in third position. They overtook Union Yacht Club.
Yesterday it was a shorter course. It was 3 laps. Today it's a longer course up and down the length of this stretch of water, and so it's just a 2-lapper with the French still in the lead. They've held the lead since the first windward mark, and the Purple Jenica leading down towards the finish. NRV, very solid performance so far today. They've got a first and a third, and it looks like they'll be adding a second place to that. So a good set of scores, but you probably, to win this regatta, need to keep your scores in the top 3.
Yeah, since you don't have discards, I think every boat gets a wipeout here and there, but you gotta obviously minimize that to the max, and you want to be top 3 at the windward mark. Don't necessarily need to win races. I experienced at the German Sailing League that boats which sailed too aggressively actually were up and down too much, and you want to be consistent in the top 3 in order to win. And the NRV throughout the year has done a really good job at that.
And NRV are doing a very nice job of carrying a gust down inside the French, and there's a possibility that the Germans could get a turnover. They could still win this race because there's not much that the French could do from where they were, but there was a gust that the Germans picked up behind them. And as you said yesterday, Marcus, when you asked the advice of the Olympic silver medalist in the 49er, Ian Barker, what do you do in this situation when you're like the French? Well, you panic. There's nothing you can do.
So if they get lucky and put in a good jibe, they do have a slight chance. If we go to the sailing analytics, we can see how close it is, how close to the advantage line the NRV is sailing. And let's go back to live images and see what's happening. Who's going to... Nope, the French are still going to win this. No way the NRV can overtake. Actually, they're in a bit of trouble right there at the pin end, but they pass it cleanly. Good job.
Well deserved by the French. A good recovery by NRV. They had a bit of a wobbly middle of the race, but they managed to pull it back to a second. Good work by them. And that's the Austrians crossing in third.
And in fourth place, it's Real Club Náutico de Gran Canaria.
Running close for the next one, but I think after that it's Gothenburg.
Or Thunersee. Shocking downwind for Gothenburg. We didn't even watch what happened there. Let's have a look at what happened on that downwind with Gothenburg, because I think they did round in second place, didn't they? No, sorry, in fourth place.
And it's the Polish bringing up the rear, some way back from the pack. Good race by the French.
Yeah, it looks like Gothenburg Yacht Club was overtaken by Thunersee Yacht Club just before the finish. Let's go to the SAP Sailing Analytics and have a look what happened there. At this point, we see the blue boat GKSS is still ahead, and as we're bearing, as they're going deep and the other boat is jibing, they're just barely overtaking them. Not sure if that's the official result. It was maybe too close to call. We'll get the official results in a few seconds, but nice move by Thunersee Yacht Club just before the finish.
So now it's a fast changeover with 8 new teams getting on board. In fact, for this one it will be 7 teams because we've got one of the boats not being used for the next one. So in a moment we'll look at the lineup for the next race. That will be race 18, and it will be the final race in flight 6.
So that could give us a little bit some time to get an overview.
Let's just have a look at the lineup for race 18. It's Hellerup Sailing Club, Royal Thames Yacht Club, Royal Norwegian Yacht Club, St. Petersburg Yacht Club, Verein Seglerhaus am Wannsee, that's from Berlin, Royal Yacht Club Moscow, and the Royal Danish Yacht Club. Royal Danish Yacht Club skippered by one of our old mates from the 49, and Michael Hesbeck. Hellerup Sailing Club skippered by Mads Christensen, triple world champion, very good sailor in the Yngling and also in the X99 keelboat. Royal Thames Yacht Club skippered by one of the most talented sailors in England, Russell Peters. Doesn't do a lot of international racing, but he's well known in the UK.
All right, let's briefly look at the situation here in Copenhagen Harbor. Yesterday we had a situation where the wind was blowing over the bay, so it only had a small area where the wind was disturbed by a landmass and buildings. Today it's blowing this way, and we get slightly more confused breeze down the racetrack, which is here where we're racing. So a little bit more difficult conditions today probably for the sailors. With a more confused, slightly more confused breeze, but the pattern seems to be that this side of the racetrack is a little bit favored, and will be interesting to see if people can break out of that pattern. We just saw that the boat from Gothenburg, which did not continue towards the middle like the Union Yacht Club, had an advantage on the second upwind. So will be interesting to follow that, whether we want to go left or whether we want to go right. At the moment, the right side looks quite good again.
It seems to me that there are options going up on the upwind leg, but it seems like you've got to be pretty brave to jibe off early on the downwind. It does seem like the downwind, it pays to hold on starboard jibe. We haven't seen many gains from people that have jibed off.
Yep, and the boats are also going very, very deep on the downwind. I think it doesn't seem that they really maximize their apparent wind sailing. Maybe the wind is too light for that today. I think we've got a few knots less than we had yesterday.
Isn't it also the tactical consideration that you can go faster and you can heat the boat up and sail more out towards the edges, but you've got to be really sure that you can jibe back across the boats coming down behind you.
Yeah, there's the freedom to jibe is so important that the boats seem to lean on the low end of the VMG and just sail deep.
And the French, not that the French were sailing particularly high, and there wasn't much they could do about it, but they nearly got caught out by the Germans' NRV just towards the finish of that previous race. And I don't know if you ever see it in these boats, that maybe there's a possibility that you could even goose wing, you could even fly the mainsail out the opposite side to the Jenica. I don't know if that's ever tried in these boats. It's pretty hard to make it work.
Yeah, that would be the Fosbury flop of this event, I reckon.
Yes, I suppose it would. I'm surprised there's a German mentioning the Fosbury flop.
Yeah, well, it's very famous in Germany. It was at the 1972 Olympics, I think, or
Oh,
was it
is that
earlier
right?
than that?
No, that could be about right. That could be about right. When Dick Fosbury changed the way that people did the high jump.
Yep, not jump forward, jump backwards. I bet they were laughing first. He got it all wrong, and then he jumped so much higher.
Yeah. Changed the whole course of the sport.
He was a fellow countryman of yours, wasn't he?
I think he was. I'm thinking he was either a Brit or he might have been Canadian. I will have to Google that one.
All right.
Not our expertise. So there, I'm trying to work out what we are looking at.
That is interesting. I think that is a bungee jumping facility.
Ah. So bungee jumping over the Windward Mark. No, it's a little bit further away from the racing than it might first appear. And, well, I hope they've got the length of that cord right, because that must be a pretty cold dunking.
Yep, might make that video here go viral, though.
Now, have we got? Oh, we haven't got the possibility of a drone, have we, for live broadcast?
No,
There's
not
been a
yet.
drone
No,
flying around.
not yet. We're working on our drone, and it's going to be there in the future. And technicians are working hard to get the image out of it live. But we had some shots earlier today, and they're beautiful. It's just great.
What we do have the possibility of is Lotte Meldegaard, one of Denmark's top match racers, raced in London 2012 for Denmark in the women's match racing. She's out on the water. We're hoping we might be able to get some input from her. There goes the first bungee jumper, Nutter. And someone jumping in their Speedos? Not quite clear. Anyway, back to the racing. We've also got, as well as a yacht race, we've also got the possibility of actually voting for your favourite club. If you go to sailingchampionsleague.com, you just click on your favourite club and SAP will make a €5 donation on your behalf. So it's the easiest donation to charity that you could ever hope to make. And tell us, what are the standings overall? Who's winning that race at the moment, Marcus?
Well, it is a donation count and a fan count at the same time. So the club who so far generated the most fans is the Norddeutscher Regattaverein, and they've donated €2,460, followed by Hellerup Sail Club with €1,975, Württembergischer Yacht Club 1,820, and Vereinsegler aus am Wannsee 1,665. Seems like the Germans are more into the fan business and the donation business, so the other clubs better activate their members and get them to go online and vote for their clubs.
Come on, Denmark. You can beat the Germans, and there's lots of other nations here as well, but I think this is a race between Denmark and Germany on this particular occasion.
And we're down €17,305 for the World Childhood Foundation. So thanks for your vote.
So we're waiting to get into the start of race 18. Of a total 45 races is what we're aiming for over these 3 days. And we're coming up close to the halfway stage of racing on the middle day of the competition. And so far the rain has held off. It was a wet day yesterday. Sunshine threatening to break through today, but Fingers crossed it at least stays dry today. And there is the lineup again for race 18. Hellerup, Royal Thames, Royal Norwegian, St. Petersburg, Wannsee from Berlin, Moscow, and the Royal Danish Yacht Club.
Roughly 3.5 minutes to go to the start. The track looks fairly even at the moment.
So Michael Hesbeck and the Royal Danish Yacht Club, they would have to be one of the favourites in this competition, in this race as well. They've sailed very solidly. Michael Hesbeck's been to the Olympics, I think it's 3 times for Denmark, in 3 different types of boat, the Laser, the Star and the 49er. So whatever skills are required to get around this racetrack, he's probably already got those skills. So look out for boat number 8. Who do you fancy for this race, Marcus?
Your fellow countrymen, just to be nice to you, and they're currently lying in 20th position, so they really do need a good race. Then the top overall, the club that's positioned the best overall in this race is the KNS, the Kongelig Norsk Seilforening, the Norwegian club. It's overall placed in 6th position, and we've got the club currently carrying the Red Lantern, the Royal Yacht Club of Moscow, in 23rd position overall. So I'd fancy the Royal Thames Yacht Club in this race, and for the locals, it's the KDY, currently lying in 10th position, also part of this race. So 2 Danish clubs, 1 German, 1 British. Is that correct to say, or
yes.
do I need to say English, Andy?
You can say English if you like. Most of them on board are English. Marshall King is Irish.
So it's a Scotsman on board?
Not as far as I know. Not as far as I know. But yeah, these things mattered recently.
Yeah, what would have happened? Wouldn't it be a non-United Kingdom if that would have gone through?
A disunited kingdom.
Disunited Kingdom, is that what we would have had to call it?
I mean, it's a struggle for you. It's a struggle for me when I'm actually having to sign on to buy a flight or enter any details on a website. Am I Great Britain? Am I Britain? Am I United Kingdom? It's pretty confusing.
Oh, it's confusing to you?
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. Anyway, we've got the Englishman. Let's call him the Englishman. And then, 2 clubs from Russia. St. Petersburg Yacht Club, currently lying in 18th position. And, as I said before, Royal Yacht Club of Moscow in 23rd position. So, we've got less than a minute to the start. Let's look upwind and try to estimate where we would go, Andy.
Middle left I like at the moment. So I think you want to be able to get a good start and hold your lane out to the left for at least a short while. And people making quite late approaches the way things are standing these days in the racing today.
According to our Winterwise devices, there's a very slight bias of the line towards the left. Left-hand side maybe a little bit biased.
And doesn't look like anyone is that close to the line this time. It should be a clean start, and it looks like it's going to be an excellent start for boat number 2. That's the Royal Thames Yacht Club.
It's your boys.
And the ones that I called as possibly being the winners of this race, well, they're just tacking off. They've come off the right-hand end of the line. That's the Royal Danish Yacht Club, Michael Hesbeck, Joachim Aschenbrenner. Nice start, and if that's what they wanted to do, they've executed it beautifully. So we've got Marcus's favourite, the Royal Thames Yacht Club, going out to the left. They've got my favourite going out to the right.
You were the Danes.
Yes.
Oh, that makes you a bit of a traitor, doesn't it?
It does a little bit.
But I like the right side, I must admit. I might go with you. The right side looks pretty good. Nice streaks of breeze going up the right side, coming down the right side.
Royal Thames Yacht Club holding on to the far side of the course. Most other boats have tacked already, but Royal Thames holding all the way out to that far side. Russell Peters said that he thought there was a little bit of tidal relief that side, so maybe that's why he's gone out that way. And we've got the boat furthest right just tacking. That's the Danes. Going through
Looks
it.
like they could pass. Can they make it?
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, they just haven't quite got the breeze. They're getting across the first boat.
Looks like they're entering a nice gust now, but also a little bit of header. He seems to pinch very high, but he makes that boat tack. He could make the other boats tack as well.
Yeah, so he's created a domino effect there, so that's worked out well for Michael Hesbeck.
But I don't think he can make the Royal Thames Yacht Club on the other side. Ah, that boat's heading a little bit now. It's getting slightly headed. Hesbeck tack back. No, left side looks a little bit better now.
Sorry, there's a lot of traffic in the middle of the course, a lot of tacking going on there, but the boat that's avoided all the traffic so far is Royal Thames Yacht Club. They've only done one tack so far, and no one has made them change course. Russell Peters able to stick to his strategy, which was to win the pin, get out to the left, and then sail across and do the long tack on port tack all the way across the windward mark. And so far, that's working out for him.
Yeah, but now Hesbeck can make the boat below tack again, but Peters passes it. So good work on the Royal Thames Yacht Club. Maybe took the start advantage on the left side, and doesn't seem to have super strong breeze, but solid and stable, and it just picked a nice lane and managed to squeeze through. I think they're carrying their starting advantage.
And they probably have done the least manoeuvres so far, I'm guessing.
Yep, just one tack. Well,
So there is a tack now from Russell Peters putting in a covering tack. So that's the strength of his position right now, is that he can already think about covering the opposition.
yeah, he doesn't want to overstay the ley line. He'd rather put in 2 more tacks up there, taking advantage of some little shifts. Probably a wise move to make. A lot of boats getting carried out far to the left side.
And it looks slow up there. It looks like the breeze has really died out in that top corner. The boats are very upright. Boat number 8 is sailing across on port tack. That's the Danish, Michael Hesbeck, who started off the right-hand end of the line. But he's sitting in the bad air of boat number 1.
Royal Yacht Club of Moscow is in the mix. They've continued furthest to the right out of all the boats. But Russell Peters will probably be able to squeeze in there. They're tacking now. Yep, they're ahead of the Royal Moscow Yacht Club. Going around the windward mark now. That's your boys, Andy.
My boys, and well, you showed more faith in them than I did, Marcus, but I'm delighted to see that Russell Peters and the English are leading the race at the moment. Not a great rounding there by Moscow. Is it Moscow I'm looking at there? Yeah.
They do seem to have some handling issues. Probably didn't get that much practice yet
That's going to make
in the
life easy.
J70.
No, it does look a bit ragged on board the Moscow boat.
But in third position, another boat from Russia, the St. Petersburg Yacht Club, and not a good second part of the upwind for Michael Hesbeck. He's currently lying down in 6th position for the KDY.
No, after such a smooth start, it looked like he got what he wanted out of the start, and he hasn't been able to convert that to anything at the top mark. So we see Russell Peters in picture there, still leading and with an extended lead after that botched hoist by the Moscow boat, which has rather held up the traffic behind them. So that's made life a little bit easier for the British. And there's only one boat that has jibed out into the middle of the course so far, so that's also playing into the hands of the British, with the bulk of the fleet following them down to the far side of the course. Just out of picture, Russell Peters has jibed. We see boat number 5 there jibing. That's the St. Petersburg Yacht Club. But it looks good for Russell Peters, who has now jibed and is leading the bulk of the fleet. Certainly every boat now is on port jibe. And Russell Peters, he should be able to get round the right-hand gate mark if he wanted to without a further jibe, but it'll be interesting to see what he chooses. My prediction is that he will want to do a jibe drop and go round the left-hand gate and go out to the left-hand side, because that's where he did so well on the first beat.
Great move by Hellerup Sail Club, by the way. They just climbed into second position by going low, and we see him approaching the leeward gate now. They overtook the two Russian boats easily. Royal Yacht Club of Moscow now down in 5th place, and Hellerup Sail Club doing a good job. KDY not really climbing up the ranks here. That's boat number 8.
The big James Grant stuffing that kite down into the hatch of the Royal Thames Yacht Club boat, and they are going around the right-hand mark. I thought they might have chosen the left, but they're going to take the opposite side of the course this time. Less traffic for them to negotiate, so it's a cleaner exit out of the mark, and also actually it's a very good high heading. But we saw the Danish looking very similar off the start line just 5 minutes ago, and there is some risk to being on the right-hand side, so I would imagine Russell Peters will want to take
soon.
the first opportunity to do so, but at the moment he's still too high to do that. No, he is tacking, and
there he goes. Nice defending position.
Going into some good breeze there in a moment. He's in fairly light winds at the moment, but if he can just be patient, in another 10 seconds the boat will lean over, and at the moment he looks a little bit vulnerable. I think that he needs to get that breeze quite soon, because the boats that went round the far mark are making good ground to leeward of him.
Yeah, he's biting the bullet a little bit. He wants to stick with the rest of the fleet, but he's going a lot lower than they are.
The boat looks a little bit staggered to me. The Royal Thames Yacht Club boat is not quite breathing enough, but actually the breeze has lifted for them a little bit now. They eased the mainsail, but they have yielded a lot of ground.
Big dark cloud coming down the race course, bringing more wind probably. Yeah, they just want to get back into a controlling position.
But I'm not sure they're going to achieve that. It looks to me like Hellerup Sailing Club are beginning to threaten for the lead there. Boat number 1 coming across. Let's see. They still duck Royal Thames Yacht Club, but they've got a lot closer to them.
Yep, so Peter seems to want to get the left side of that fleet.
Boat number 5 also crossing behind Russell Peters, who now tacks on boat number 5. Boat number 5 being St. Petersburg Yacht Club.
The dark cloud coming down the racetrack might decide this upwind and the downwind. Will it turn left or will it turn right? At the moment, it seems to go left a bit more, which will be good news for Peters.
Yes, he did have to bite the bullet to get back across to that side, and I wonder if he will look back at the leeward gate and think, well, maybe he should have gone round to the left after all, because it was quite a risky move. Obviously, he wasn't to know where the fleet behind him was going to go.
Maybe he should have tacked a little bit earlier. But he's still in the lead. But it is close, and the wind is going left. We see Hellerup Sail Club going really high, squeezing in there. They could easily pass him in a moment. And big comeback for the KDY. Michael Hasbeck, who's now in 3rd position according to the SAP Sailing Analytics. He continued to the far left side of the course, is now getting threatened by the NRV. Will they make them tack? Probably. Or can they pass? Have they passed?
Well,
they have, yes.
If Hesbeck has got into the top 3, that's all happened in the last minute of the race,
yep.
Because he was dead last just a minute ago, and I was thinking, where did it all go wrong for them? And for them to now be in 3rd place, if they are, is an incredible comeback in a short space of time.
We can look at that in a minute. I believe they just did a very simple thing. They headed out to the left side of the course, continued further than everyone else, and that made the difference for them.
Well, an incredible comeback by the Danes there. Goes to show anything can happen on this race course.
Royal Thames Yacht Club defended their lead just very closely.
And so it's not done and dusted for Royal Thames Yacht Club, because they've got Hellerup Sailing Club breathing down their neck, and it looks like Hellerup is a little bit lower than them, so they're in a good attacking position. That's the Danish team of Mads Christensen, Trina Abrahamsen, Kasper Pietz and Christian Kvitt, and they are in a good threatening position there. Boat number 1 on boat number 2. Royal Thames Yacht Club will be sailing as low as they can, trying to match what the Danes are doing just behind them. And then, who knows, boat number 8, the third boat from Royal Danish Yacht Club, could also be coming into the mix.
Yeah, the first 3 boats are going a lot lower than the others. That's because NRV is being attacked by the Royal Yacht Club of Moscow. They want to overtake him. Not a wise move, I believe. But that pushes him far away and sort of lets the first 3 boats break away from the pack. Looks like Russell Peters can defend that lead.
And no one has jibed away. So it does seem to be a very one-sided track coming downwind. Fortunately, that's not the case going upwind, but downwind, it all seems to be about the far side of the course.
Yeah, they can almost lay the finish, so any jibe they would want to put in rather late, not too early.
So Russell Peters going in for what will probably be his final jibe towards the finish, and he's actually held the Danish attack at bay. It's going to be the first victory for the British team. They were lying in the bottom 5 of this regatta, I think, going into this race.
Yeah, they climbed up to 17th place now, so that gave them, let him climb up 3 places in the overall ranking. And now Hellerup Sail Club in 2nd position, and they're overall in 4th position at the end of that 6th flight. So great result for them. And KDY, the local hosting club, Koninklijk Dansk Yacht Club, in 3rd position overall and 3rd position in this race. Good work for them. St. Petersburg Yacht Club coming 4th. Royal Yacht Club of Moscow probably 5th. They're still finishing, and a tight battle for the last place between the club from Norway and from the VSAV from Germany, Berlin.
And when you're counting every score, you can't discard anything. You're going to fight for every point, regardless of whether it's for 1st and 2nd or 7th and 8th.
Right. Yeah, every point counts, so that's true. I very much like the fact that there's no discards, so the battle goes on even for the last place.
Keeps it simple.
Yep.
So, Russell Peters, you called it, Marcus. I'm impressed.
I just got lucky.
So
I will have a look at what the KDY did on that 2nd upwind, because they were rounding in 2nd last position. If we can switch to the SAP Sailing Analytics, we can have a look at the KDY. That's the highlighted boat right here. We can see it's down in 4th position. This is a regatta rank. It's actually in 6th position in this flight of 7 boats, so 2nd last. And then they're just following, they're doing a nice turn. They managed to get the inside, much better roundings, so they exit that gate a little bit higher, and they keep on going, keep on going, keep on going with good speed, keep on going to the left, and slowly on the way up to the mark, just overtake those boats with speed and good angles, and come back to 3rd position. Really well done. Sometimes you just need to keep it simple, and that's what they did.
If in doubt, it seems like you want to get out to the left-hand side of this course. It seems that there's a better percentage chance of doing well out on the left-hand side, which is maybe why Royal Thames Yacht Club got into the lead in the first place in that race. And they looked vulnerable. The only time they were to the right of the fleet was when they looked their most vulnerable. The overall results in a moment, if we can bring that up, and then we're going to take a short break, because that was the end of Flight 6, and we'll be back again for the beginning of Flight 7. But let's just, if we can get those up, then we'll see who's doing well overall.
So that dark cloud that I mentioned before didn't make much of a difference. It's actually moved no closer to the race course, past us on the south.
But they did go around the yellow windward mark that time. It was green the previous race, so and it was the right call for that race as well. So the breeze had gone left a little bit during that last race. And so let's take a look at the results overall and see how they stand. It's the Italians now with a 4-point lead over Norddeutsche Regatta Verein from Germany, ahead of Royal Danish Yacht Club, who bounced back to third place in that race. That pushes them up to third overall, just ahead of Hellerup Sailing Club, second in the race that we saw just then. Oman Sail, they were the overnight leaders after yesterday's great racing. A little bit less consistent by them so far today, so they're down in fifth. But there really is so little to choose between any of these top teams at the moment. 4 points could easily slip away for the Italians, but the thing is that they are learning the J70. It's Gabriele Bernussi, is it? No, trying to think of the Lorenzo Bressani. Sorry, it's Lorenzo Bressani who's the skipper, and he's won the Melges 32, the Melges 24 World Championships. He was first in the ORC World Championships in Kiel earlier this year, so he's got lots of keelboat experience, but not that much J70. Maybe the Italians are getting to grips with the peculiarities of the J70, and a good result by them so far.
Well, the cream is certainly getting washed to the top. It's not unexpected. The boats that we see up there are the ones that we were expecting, sort of top 5, top 6. Do you see any top club missing? Maybe Russell Peters not as good as we expected?
Well, we just saw Russell Peters and Royal Thames Yacht Club win a race. Was it a fluke, or will they be able to do it again?
I don't think so.
Time will tell.
Yeah, so we expect maybe a little bit more of them in the races to come.
They look very pleased as they came ashore just then. James Grant punching the air. So they are getting into their stride. We'll see if they can manage to repeat that performance. But they managed to win the pin end of the line, and for them, that was a key moment in the race to win the left-hand side of the start. So let's take a break now. That was the end of Flight 6. We'll be back to you in a few minutes' time. We'll pick up with the pre-start of the first race in Flight 7. Welcome back to the Sailing Champions League. We're just about to launch into the first race of Flight 7. So let's have a look who's in this time. It's the Dutch from Almere. It's Yacht Club Bregenz, Norddeutsche Regatta Verein, Royal Norwegian, Sport Nautique de l'Ouest from France, Württemberg Yacht Club, Sokolov Canottieri Agnelli from Italy, and Attersee from Austria. And we have 20 seconds to the start.
So we've got... I'm done.
We have
the overall series leader in this race. Sokolov Canottieri Agnelli is currently lying in first place, and they are on boat number 7.
And it's boat number 7 that gets the committee boat end of the line, so that implies that they would want to go the right-hand side unless they think they've got a good enough lane to hold the fleet going out to the left-hand side. Will they be able to live in that space? Because if they can, it's a tactically very strong start for the Italians. But it was boats number 1 and 2, the Dutch and also the Norwegians on the far side of the track, that won the pin end of the line, and that tends to be where the leaders have come from in a lot of these races. Boat number 3 is the only one to have tacked on to port so far, and that is NRV from Germany. They've already won a race so far today. They've got a first, second and third in their races so far today, and they just tack back towards the middle of the course. Meanwhile, the Italians have tacked away. Maybe they weren't able to live in that space, and just out of picture to the right of our screen, we see a cross between the Germans on starboard. Will the Italians be able to cross? No, they can't. Italians are forced to tack back, so that's already the second tack for the Italians in that race.
The NRV on boat number 3 was heading out to the right side into some nice breeze. We can see some dark streaks here on the right side, and they seem to get the fan of that. And it was good enough to keep the Italians under control. So interesting battle going on here between the Italians and the Germans in the middle of the course. They are the series leaders at the moment. Let's see if they're also getting washed to the top of this race. NRV currently controlling them, pushing them to the left side of the course. We've got boat number 2 here in the foreground going really high. Can't see them currently in the image.
Who we see on the far side, that was boat number 4, and boat number 4 is the Norwegians, doing very well on the left-hand side of the track, and that's where all the action is, on the far side of the track. Boat number 2 is choosing to plough its own lonely path out to the right-hand side, and that is the Yacht Club Bregenz from Austria. And they seem to be in good breeze on the right-hand side of the course. Will it be good enough to get them back over to the bulk of the fleet, who are still battling it out on the left? We see the Italians there. The Norwegians on the left of picture in boat number 4.
It is a serious battle going on between the Germans and the Norwegian and the Italians. And they're not up there in the fleet. Maybe they're doing their match racing a little bit too early.
So, according to the analytics, who would you say is leading at the moment?
Well, it's the Norwegians and the Dutch, which are up there. But to be honest, the Italians and the Germans are in 3rd and 4th place, so they're contending as well. Looking at the analytics, we can see that the streaks and lines are quite shaky, so it is a confused, difficult breeze out there, up especially at the windward mark. And we've got the Italians and the Norwegians close together here, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they can take this windward mark. Will they be able to squeeze in there, or do they have to go around a lot of boats? It's very congested and very packed. First boat around the windward mark will probably be the Dutch. That's boat number 3, is that correct?
I think we just saw, didn't we just see boat number 4 go round in the lead?
Oh yeah, it's boat number 4.
Which is the Norwegians.
Yep, correct.
Followed by boat number 1, which is the Dutch.
And then boat number 7
is the Italians.
And a shocking windward mark rounding for the NRV, who didn't make the windward mark, and they have to do... they didn't make the windward mark, and they have to go around again. That probably means they'll go around last. Yeah, terrible rounding for them. If we can get that replayed here, I zoom in a little bit more. We've got the NRV highlighted here in the SAP Sailing Analytics, and you can see they just didn't make that windward mark. They had to go past it. Here comes the NRV, the blue boat. They had to go past it and then do a turn, go in here, get pushed out.
What a disaster. And they had such a good start as well. They looked so strong.
They still haven't rounded the mark, have they? Or maybe they did go round, but they had to do turns immediately.
Well, we know from yesterday that people don't get away with it when they don't sail the proper course, because there was a disqualification yesterday. So the umpires out there doing the on-the-water judging will have spotted that if NRV had sailed the wrong course.
But I suspect that they actually made the windward mark. There's just a slight inaccuracy in the GPS tracking, and they probably hit the mark and did their turn, and then they had to do another turn because they infringed another boat. So shocking race for the NRV. Surprising that in the live over regatta rank they're still in second position. They really have to well, that's also because this is flight 1 of the race 1 of flight 7, so they're the first ones to generate points in this flight, but that will easily change. So wouldn't surprise me if they stay where they are. That's going to be cost them the maybe podium position for now. Not so for Circular Canottieri Aniene, the Italian club, who's currently lying in third position. Doing a good job here, trying to squeeze out into the right-hand side gate mark. I'm pretty sure they're going to take that side, packing up their spinnaker now, going around. And that actually got them into second place. Looking up the racetrack, which side would you favor? Right side looks a little bit fresher at the moment. Italians tacking
like
straight away.
I like the left further up the track, but we see the Norwegians coming out past our commentary position. Christopher Spohn helming this boat and doing very well in this regatta so far, really leaning hard out as he goes into a roll tack there, but the boat's still very upright as they come out of that tack. And actually, once they're up to speed, it's not a bad heading on starboard. I always think boats tend to look a little bit vulnerable on this track, on starboard tack down this end of the course. But as they look further upwind over their shoulder, the Norwegians will be encouraged to see that there are gusts coming down the track, and it could put them in an even stronger position. So I think they've set themselves up nicely to extend their lead.
Yep.
Boat number
really
5.
Nice breeze on their side.
Boat number 5 is the French.
The Italians playing it a bit safely, leaning towards the middle of the course, but if you look at the breeze over the racetrack, it does look like the right-hand side has a bit more to offer at the moment.
Yeah, which you don't often see on this course today, but that's worked out pretty nicely for the Norwegians so far. And the Italians that went out to the left a little bit earlier look a little bit dead and buried over there. The boat looks upright and the left doesn't look as good as it normally does. I think there could be some changeovers on this course at the moment. Even the leaders look very upright, and I wonder how much longer the leaders, the Norwegians, would want to stay there, because the best breeze looks like it's back in the middle of the course. Boat number 6 in the middle of the course at the moment, that's Württemberg. They're looking quite strong on their heading. Nice little gust for them. But the Norwegians have tacked.
Yeah, they put themselves in a controlling position over the Italians and the Dutch, which are battling again. Close tacking duel between the Italians and the Dutch. They just want to stay windward of their opponents.
NRV chancing their arm on the right-hand side, and they look pretty good for it at the moment. They've still got a lot of ground to make up after that botched windward mark rounding, but they've got a pretty good heading on the right-hand side. They're on the Little Mermaid side of the course at the moment, and so will the Germans be able to make some much-needed lost ground on this second leg?
Not easy, I think. Doesn't look like they're going very high at the moment. They're getting headed right now. Not sure if they can make it back into the fleet there.
The leaders just tacking there, could be on their final approach to the windward mark last time round. So
That's
far,
the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club.
not much breeze up the top end of the course. Norwegians looking quite upright as they are about to go round the windward mark.
The
But-
Italians in a safe second position. If they manage to tack inside the ley line, and I think they have. Yep, they have.
So Norwegian sail goes up nicely. That hourglass didn't last long in the sail. It's now up and pulling, and it's a good lead for the Norwegians.
But it's very light up there at the windward mark. I mean, if a gust could hit behind them, we would see the pattern happening that we saw before, where the boats coming from behind would go deep and fast.
And they're on quite a high heading, so I wonder how long they want to live there. I wonder if there is an opportunity for one of the back markers to do a jibe set and to do well from it.
Yep. The NRV didn't manage to climb any spots, and it's sticky again there up at the windward mark. We see one boat luffing up, forcing other boats to tack. That's gonna
If we could just get the
catch the
camera
attention
onto
of
that,
the-
that's where the park up is at the moment. If we can turn the camera onto the windward mark. And just coming back, that's where all the traffic has been. It was very, very slow going for some of the boats up there. And someone's doing a spin. It's boat number 5, which is the French. They've had to do a penalty.
that might be somewhat good news for the NRV, who are able to catch one boat.
So some of the boats that have jive back into the middle look like they're going a little bit faster for doing so. And I wonder if they've got enough breeze, the boats in second and third place, to start attacking the leader.
Much stronger wind here. The Dutch have the best breeze of all. They could be overtaking the Italians, and they're also making headway against the Norwegians on the far side of the course. It's much, much better breeze on this side of the course right now. It's going to be a very interesting finish. We have boat number 1, that's the Dutch in the foreground. Then we've got boat number 2, the Italians. Sorry, that's boat number 7, the Italians, pushing them out on the far side. They're jibing now. And the Norwegians, who lost quite a bit on this downwind, and it looks like the Italians are heading towards the finish with really good speed. And the Norwegians are a bit desperate on the right-hand side, on the far side of the course, left-hand side of the racetrack, really. Great,
Well, it's very,
great
very
downwind by
close.
the Italians.
It's super close. The Dutch could still get back in there, but the Norwegians must be wondering, where did it all go wrong?
Well, we did talk about that, right? Left side looking really soft, and the Italians are ahead. Are they ahead?
Very, very close.
Let's look into the sailing analytics. We get a bit of a replay here. It does look like the Italians are ahead. Yep, I think they finished, but it's too close to call. Could be the Dutch who squeezed in at the last second, and what a sad downwind for the Norwegians, who lost 2 places.
I think they got a little bit complacent on that far side. I mean, why did they not defend a little bit sooner?
I'm surprised. An early jibe would have been the safe option, I reckon, but
And it's Union Yacht Club from Austria that crosses in 4th place. They had a quiet race. I don't think we mentioned them before, but anyway, plugged away and got a solid 4th place.
and the NRV has a chance to come back and finish. Is that boat number 6?
On this side, it's boat number 5. On the far side, it's boat number 6. So that would be Württemberg.
All right. NRV has finished ahead of them, and got a bit of an out of jail card there with a 5th place, which still keeps them in second position, and we'll see in the next 2 flights whether any other boat can overtake them. Sorry, in the next two races, of course, of this flight number 7.
So that's only going to help the Italians. They were already leading overall, and they get that last gasp victory just then. Or do we know? Is that confirmed yet? Did they beat the Dutch?
No, we don't have final results. We're waiting for it. I'm looking at our SAP analytics man, Frank, who will get the info now.
But nice to see.
Okay.
Sorry, we're just waiting to hear the results confirmed then, and so we have it that the Italians did win that race. They just
So what
beat
we
the Dutch.
show on screen right here is not correct. The Italians did win that race. It must have been awfully close. What a photo finish. And good on them for the overall lead. They can build on their lead. We're going to look at the final results. The overall results after this flight is over. It's a bit too early to call. We just keep an eye on the ranks as we watch the racing. So 2 more races to go in this flight.
Well, that was really good sailing by the Italians, because it wasn't easy for them going up the first leg. They had a perfectly good start off the right-hand end of the line, but they had to do a few tacks when they didn't want to. They were caught in a battle with NRV, but we then saw the very different fortunes of the Italians compared with NRV. NRV really fluffed it up at the top mark. They had to do a turn. We're seeing a lot of penalties being handed out by the on-the-water umpires, but isn't it great that we have these instant decisions?
Yep, absolutely. But I think 8 boats on a small racetrack like that is pretty much maximum, because you get this carnage at the windward mark, and sometimes you want to stay out of it, but sometimes you just can't. If you get a wind shift, you get pushed against the windward mark, it can get really expensive, and the NRV had a bit of bad luck there and didn't manage to get out of jail up at the windward mark, but at least they managed to. I think they were down in last position for a while, weren't they?
I think they were.
Came
So
back to 5th, so it shows their class.
it does. And the Norwegians have been sailing very, very well, and therefore all the more surprising that they didn't defend more effectively down that final run.
Yep, I think they gave away that one. That could have been easily an earlier jibe, going back to the middle of the course, kept their eyes open, and they would have seen the stronger breeze. But I guess easy for us to say here.
It is, but also, if you're sailing high, not sailing that close towards the direction of the finish, and you're in light winds, the alarm bells should start going off.
You should panic early.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a great tactical race that we saw there. That was the first race of Flight 7. And if you want to catch up with all the latest results, they're being live updated. Tracking and current results all can be seen at sailingchampionsleague.com. And in the next race, we're going to see Oman sail. They were the overnight leaders last night, but they've had they've been over the line twice in 2 races this morning. So that's why they've dropped down the rankings. They just haven't been able to pull off effective starts. And we've got one of our... we've got Russell Peters coming up as our next interview to speak with Susan Boyden, one of the top match racers from Denmark. Susan will be asking Russell about that fantastic win by Royal Thames Yacht Club just now, winning the pin, winning the start, and then locking off the win all the way to the finish of that race.
So how did you...
So let's have a look at the rundown for race 20. That's Union Yacht Club Monse from Austria, the Swiss from Tunisia, Oman Sail, the Spanish from Gran Canaria, the Royal Danish Yacht Club, Hellerup Sailing Club, and Kurtermin Sailing Club. So a strong Danish representation here. But meanwhile, Suzanne is waiting to speak to Russell Peters. So over to you, Suzanne.
Yes, I have Russell Peters here from Great Britain, who is representing, what is your club again?
Royal Thames Yacht Club.
Yes, and Russell, how was your day today?
We started badly, but at last we got a good race in, so we've had one good race. But good fun. Hopefully we're improving a little.
How do you find these conditions today? Because we have a totally new wind direction and it gives a totally different game. How do you handle that?
Well, it's still kind of the same old thing, isn't it? It's all very close and still shifty, and any little mistake, you quickly get moved back through the fleet. It's really, really hard to keep your focus and keep not getting annoyed with yourself, and keep smooth and keep calm. Maybe we're getting better at that now.
And now we're going 90 degrees compared to yesterday here in this canal in Copenhagen. How does that affect the wind shifts?
I think it's slightly fairer today, slightly more straightforward. It's not so shifty, and the legs are a little longer, so you've got a bit more room to get going, and not quite so many turning corners as there were yesterday. I think I prefer the turning corners actually, the shorter across the lake yesterday, across the thing. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite side?
No, I think it's there certainly doesn't seem to be a favourite side. It's often the side that we're not on that's the favourite, as far as I can tell.
Okay, you have a race break now, and then you will go out for the next race. What are your hopes for the rest of the day?
Well, we just want to try and get into the top half, really. That would be nice. If we can keep coming, just get some results in the top 4, I think you'll then come in the top half. But we'll see.
Well, we're looking forward to follow you, and there's just been a beep behind me, so the races are coming up again.
Thanks very much, Suzanne, and thank you, Russell Peters. Excuse me for the feedback there. Interesting what Russell said there about keeping calm, not letting the red mist descend, and that's the advantage of our commentary box position up here, as we can see the wind coming down, you see the big picture, and it's the sailors that are able to step out of the moment and to get that helicopter view that sometimes perform better. I don't know if you agree with that, Marcus, the ability to step out of the immediacy of your situation and to get the overview of what's going on across the racecourse, not just what's going on immediately around your boat.
Well, you want to have a tactician on board who's keeping his eyes on the racecourse all the time, who's got no other things to work on but calling the shots, telling where to go, whether to continue to tack or to jibe. That's all he should have his mind on, to not let these little wind shifts and gusts slip anyone's attention. And for us, it's easy to see this up there. For the sailors, it's the challenge because there's no one on board who's got nothing to do. I mean, I sailed the boats a few weeks ago, and I was a tactician, and I had to pack up the spinnaker. So for a little while, I couldn't follow what was going on, but most of the time, I could, and I think that's the setup you should choose, really.
So we're into the final couple of minutes before this next race starts, race 20. In fact, that is the 1 minute gun just going there, and the yellow flag goes up on board the committee boat telling us that they have selected the most left hand of the 3 windward marks that they have available to choose from. And we're seeing a very typical lineup for the way that we've seen starts lining up, everyone lining up to the right hand side of the committee boat, left as we see it in our picture. But it seems that that's the typical approach that they're making on days like today, keeping their jibs furled until fairly late on with just 25 seconds to go.
The hot contender for this race is the KDY. They're currently lying in 5th position, the best placed overall boat currently in this race, and KDY is lining up to start on the right hand side of the starting line. Maybe a slight bias to the left as we've seen before, but maybe a little bit stronger wind on the right hand side of the track. There's a little bit more wind there, in my opinion. Andy, I don't know what you think, but Michael Hesbeck from KDY on boat number 6, is that correct?
He's done exactly the same start as he did in his previous race. He's gone for the committee boat end start, but it's Oman Sail whose start I like on the far side. It's boat number 3. They booked the pin end of the line. They didn't have much competition for that end. I was surprised how little competition there was to book the left-hand end of the line. So Rob Greenhalgh and Oman Sail got the start they wanted. But in the meantime, you see a beautiful lift there for boat number 6 and the Danish from the Royal Danish Yacht Club. So they've had a nice bit of acceleration there for Michael Hesbeck, currently in picture.
He's getting headed now, so I wouldn't be surprised if the boat 2, when they pass them, that they will continue. Maybe he wants to get a little bit closer to Oman Sail, who seem to have a nice lift on the left-hand side as well now. and they certainly had the better start.
And have they got enough to be able to cross the Danish, the dark blue Danish team?
I think they do. Yep, they'll get past them.
So there's another British helmsman. We just saw Russell Peters a couple of races ago pull off a very similar starting technique there, but actually we see a Mansell tacking back there.
Interesting. They want to defend the left side. They're keen to stay on the left and push the other ones on the other. That was a bit of an odd move. I'm surprised about that. I would have stayed in the middle with a gust coming down the left-hand side of the course. They could have continued quite nicely, and that's what Michael Hesbeck catches now. He's on the fan of a nice little gust there.
So you're saying that a Mansell could have crossed if they wanted to?
I think they could have, yes. Mel, maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe they couldn't have, and hard to tell. We should talk to Rob afterwards.
Well, it would be 2 extra tacks that he's done just there if he did want to defend that left-hand side. We'll have to see how he gets on as Rob Greenhalgh and a Mansell tack back again on the very far side of the course. And that's about as far as we've seen anybody on that side of the course today. There can't be much water between them and the land on the far shore.
And they've got quite a long way to go to the Windward Mark, so I wouldn't be surprised if KDY, if Michael Hesbeck is getting a nice shift to cross over to the Windward Mark and make up some ground. But he does look at the moment like he's going into slightly softer air, meaning less wind. But he does continue. Still a fair bit of runway left, and the wind could swing back to the right a few degrees. That would really bring him back into, but no, it's turning left. He's luffing up. Nice gust on him. Maybe a little header would do him well after that. Yep, he's getting slightly headed. Will he continue on to the ley line?
You would think so from there, but then again, it's shifting so much.
But nice gust coming from the right-hand side now. It does look like, almost looks like he's overstanding. He's overstanding that side of the course, tacking now. Certainly on the ley line. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't make the mark there.
So it's a matter of, has Michael Hesbeck got enough forward moment to actually get ahead of all the boats coming in on the left? And he's got another puff of breeze there, so the Danes are easing mainsail before they get to the Windward Mark. They have overstood the ley line with that new gust that's just hit them. But who's managed to get up inside them? It looks like a Mansell have got up inside, and it could be that a Mansell is just going to get around, but they have to shoot the mark. Rob Greenhalgh luffing head to wind and taking other boats head to wind with him, but it does mean that a Mansell get round just ahead of the Danes. So we saw the boat that won the pin going left and the boat that won the committee boat end that went right, and they are the 2 boats that are round in first and second place, showing that if you can win one of the extremes of the start line, it puts you in a good position tactically at the top mark.
Yeah, they had that battle at the middle of the course where Michael Hesbeck pushed Rob Greenhalgh to the left-hand side of the course, but he still managed to get out ahead, and we're in for a great battle between boat number 3 and boat number 6. Also, the overall top-place boats in this flight, Oman Sail could climb up to 3rd position if they would win this race, and KDY would be 4th in the overall ranks. Too early to call, but the battle for winning this race is definitely on between these 2 boats.
And the breeze is very different to what we saw on the run in the previous race. It's taking them down nicely on starboard jibe, so there was no reason to jibe off early as there had been in the previous race.
Bailout by Rob Greenhalgh. He wants to get away, use his freedom, go towards the middle of the course. He sees some slight winds there, maybe a little bit more. Michael Hesbeck follows him.
This gate, Mark, the gate that we see is actually quite skewed at the moment. There's good bias on the left-hand mark. The mark you see at the top of the picture looks like the favoured mark at the moment.
Breeze distribution being absolutely critical now, and it does look like Michael Hesbeck has a little bit more breeze, and he's heading towards that advantageous side of the gate, and now Rob Greenhalgh has to luff up whilst the Danish team from KDY is going deep and fast. That's boat number 6.
There's a danger that Greenhalgh could even drop to 3rd, but he jibes onto starboard, and he should be able to close out the boat number 8.
He wants to force a jibe there. Can he? Are they in the zone yet? Yes, I think they are. Hesbeck taking the lead, going around the left-hand side gate mark. That's the far end. Doing a sharp turn there. Rob Greenhalgh follows him. And Kjartamin Sail Club in third position.
And a big gap back to the boats behind, so it's a three-way battle at the moment for the lead. All of them choosing the same mark, and Aman Sail's found a nice lane up inside Royal Danish Yacht Club there, so Rob Greenhalgh didn't have to live in the bad air very long at all, and if anything, he looks like he's back in the lead in the controlling position. So I'm not quite clear what happened there. I didn't see enough of the rounding on the Royal Danish Yacht Club, but that was a bit of a giveaway there by Michael Hesbeck and his crew. And
he had to do a very sharp rounding though, and that opened up the inside boom, which Rob Greenhalgh took advantage of.
And just about the whole fleet going round the far mark, except for the Swiss, who come past our commentary position at the bottom of screen, seeing what they can find on this far side. And at the moment, I like the cut of the Swiss jib. I think it's on a nice high heading at the moment. So they didn't have much to lose from where they were. That's Linda Farney and her crew racing for Tunisi Yacht Club. Flavio Marazzi, the star Olympian, amongst the crew, just seeing what they can find out on this side of the track. But on the far side, we see boat number 3 sailing up, and that is Aman Sail, still just in the lead ahead of Royal Danish Yacht Club.
Michael Hesbeck just put in a fake tack to make Rob Greenhalgh tack away and regain his freedom.
And now
he won the lead and he gave it away again. And now he's probably a boat length behind Rob Greenhalgh on the left-hand side, maybe a little bit more even.
And it shows you how much they like the left-hand side, because they go pretty much all the way up to the ley line quite early, and it leaves them very few tactical options once they're up there. There really isn't much more tacking that Rob Greenhalgh or Michael Hesbeck on the far side of the course can do. So they must have a lot of faith that the left is the right place to be. And that's the battle between Aman and the Danish, but we're looking at boat number 8 there on screen, which is Royal Yacht Club. Sorry, no, I'm just Kjartamin Sailing Club.
Yeah, Kjartamin Sailing Club currently in 4th position.
Kjartamin just to leeward of Aman Sail. Aman Sail is the boat with number 3 on its bow and going along very nicely at the moment. There seems to be good breeze for those two boats. And there is still a little bit of ley line spare. The breeze has headed, but if anything, the Royal Danish Yacht Club has managed to hold a higher line than Aman Sail, and it could be that Michael Hesbeck has a sniff of the lead again, because he just seems to have picked up a gust and a shift.
And again, it looks like a bad tack for Rob Greenhalgh. And, yep, looks like Hesbeck, KDY is getting lifted. Will they manage to tack in there? Yes, it looks like it, and they clutched back the lead.
So this is the second time that Royal Danish Yacht Club have taken the lead away from Aman Sail. Purple Jenica goes up, and it's actually quite a good lead that they have on Aman now.
So that little false tack he put in, the fake tack, what do you call it?
Dummy tack.
A dummy tack made Rob Greenhalgh tack, and Hesbeck continued. Now he's jibing early. He wants to go to the middle of the course.
I think that's the good call. I like what Hesbeck has done there, because I think he's sailing into a good gust there. He's not in it yet, but in the next 10 seconds we should see the power go into that Jenica, and we see Aman Sail jibing with him, which makes Hesbeck's life even easier for him. Clearly Rob Greenhalgh is thinking the same way as Hesbeck. They think the best breeze is back in the middle of the course. But boat number 7, Hellerup Sailing Club, doesn't seem to agree with them. Boat number 7 only jibing now on the far side of the course, and actually that breeze hasn't really come back in as strongly in the middle of the course as I might have thought. But fortunately for Hesbeck, with the purple Jenica still in the lead, his closest rivals have followed him. Hesbeck jibing again, and already halfway down this run. It's such a short course, and well, you'd think it was a match race, except that Oman Sail is pretty much following everything that Royal Danish Yacht Club is doing, which is making life tactically quite easy for the Danish.
They might be happy with the second place, which is a good place, and with this amount of races, you just want to be consistently in the front. And if Michael Hesbeck is choosing the right track, Rob will just go with it. He won't attack without a reason.
Michael Hesbeck standing up in the boat, looking around, getting a slightly better perspective of what the wind is doing around him. Sits back down again, happy with his position. Really should have it in the bag from here. Hard to see Oman being able to get back to the Danish from this point.
Yeah, no way. If we look at the aerial shot, we see the blue spinnaker, that's KDY, closing into the finishing line, finishing board, top left of the screen.
Getting the spinnaker down before they've even crossed the finish line.
Nice win for KDY, and that puts him in third position overall.
Oman Sail banks a very nice and safe second place, but the minor placings, there's a lot of fighting to be done yet. Boat number 7 should get third place, but Hellerup Sailing Club, they've got quite a lot to do, because as they jibe onto the unfavoured port jibe, can they get across the boats coming down fast behind them? It's getting very, very tight here. Looks like boat number 7 has just about got away with it. Third place for Hellerup Sailing Club. I'm going to have to wait and get confirmation on these other places, because there are 3 boats that have all crossed neck and neck with each other. And it was the Swiss that come across in last place, so they went right up the last beat to see if they could find something different. It wasn't enough, so a high quality team finish in last place just shows you how difficult it is out there, how high quality the competition is. We hope to bring another interview with you shortly. Suzanne Boyden, we expect we'll be speaking to Christian Johannesson from the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club, and just how difficult it is to keep consistent results. We'll hear from the Norwegian sailor just what it's like out there, and why it looks so easy from the outside, where it's so difficult when you're on board one of these J70s in these wildly shifting conditions. So Suzanne Boyden speaking to Christian Johannesson. Take it away, Susan.
Yes, I am standing here with Christopher Spohn, who's actually the skipper of the Norwegian team. We made a little shift there. Christopher, why have you had so many different results? You had both first and last today.
Yeah, I think it's in the start you have to be really aggressive, and okay, we made 2 good ones and 1 really bad one, so that's basically it. It's very important.
What is so important out there?
Well, you know, it's the start. You need the few boat length that you get in the start. You need it on the top mark, and mostly it's on the left side of the course. It pays off.
We here on shore are really excited to hear about what is it that is so difficult out there. Can you give us any hints about that?
Difficult, you know, it's the wind is coming up and down, and then the shift goes forth and back, and then suddenly sometimes it disappears and comes back, and, you know, and the boats are really equal. The sailors are very good. All of us are very nice or good sailors, so you know, it's very tough competition.
Christopher, your team hasn't sailed that much in the J70 before. Which boat can you compare this boat to?
Well, we come from the Melges 24 class, and you know, it's a smaller boat. It's a little bit slower, and I guess that's the most, you know, comparable boat you can go. I think maybe the Meldis 24 will be too tough for all the races out there. So I think it's an ideal boat for this event.
Yeah, so far, how do you like the Champions League here in Copenhagen?
Yeah, we love it. We enjoy it all the time. So we look forward for the rest of the race, and we'll be back.
Christopher, last question, because we want to see you making more bullets, which you have been making today, of course. What's your tactical plan for that?
No, just gonna win the pin and start and just fly away.
Well, let's see if Christopher and his team can just and fly away on the race course the rest of the day.
Thanks, Susan, and thanks, Christoph, and best of luck for the rest of the regatta. And this is the first experience for many overseas teams of the Sailing Champions League, and the Champions League, the whole concept of a league that we've seen so successful in Germany and Denmark so far, and it's an idea that seems to be spreading very quickly, Marcus.
Yeah, I hope they take home that experience and create leagues of their own in their countries. Some countries have already done that. In Austria, I think they're planning for it. In Russia, they have had their first events. Yeah, it's just a beautiful way to get clubs together and to compete on a high level. The sailors seem to love it. And the Champions League is the inaugural event this year. Next year, I'm pretty sure we already have pretty tough qualifications for the Champions League final.
So how were the teams selected for this event? How were the 23 that ended up coming here? How were they the chosen 23?
Well, the German and the Danish clubs are actually the top clubs from the national leagues, and the other clubs were invited as being one of the most profiled and top clubs in Europe. And you're surprised how many sailing clubs there are. I mean, they're just everywhere. In Germany, we had, since the sailing league started, even the first year we had to do a second league. So it was 2 times 18 clubs, and now more than 50 clubs try to qualify for the second league. And you already have to work your way up a whole year through the second league to make it into the first league. So the competition is on, and it's fierce, and there's many clubs who are after the title.
So the clubs that woke up earliest to the concept and signed up early have found themselves in the Premiership, and if they sail well enough, they will stay in the Premiership. There could be other clubs that have even yet to contemplate entering the league in Germany, and if they were to enter now, they might find themselves joining in the 5th division.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a 4-year climb up to the Premiership, provided they win every year.
Absolutely, and it's interesting. I remember in 2 clubs, the Kiel Yacht Club and the NRV. The NRV was there from the beginning onwards, and they won the first 2 seasons, and the Kiel Yacht Club actually didn't want to join the first season. They were a bit late and didn't initially believe in the concept so much, and then in the second year they had to qualify through the relegation round and actually qualified for the first league, and it now looks like they can stay in the first league. But it did hurt their pride a bit that they weren't part of it in the first year, and now they're just sailing in the middle, so they you can actually feel that they have a bit of catching up to do.
So that first mover advantage for NRV worked out nicely for them.
Yeah.
They seem to be doing pretty well at this regatta as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They're looking at the overall results. They're placed at second at the moment, but amazing lead by the Italian club who already won 5 out of 7 races, which is a amazing performance, really. Yep, the NRV is closely followed by the KDY. They're almost tied on points, and Oman Sail in 4th position, but we've got 1 more race to go for
Flight 7.
For Flight 7.
So that might move things around a little bit, and then we can have a proper look at the results afterwards. But let's look at the lineup for this final race of Flight 7. We've got St. Petersburg Yacht Club, we've got Wannsee Sailing Club from Berlin, Yacht Club Costa Smeralda from Sardinia, we've got the Royal Swedish Yacht Club, we've got the Polish club Orzynski Club Czechowski, Royal Thames Yacht Club from Great Britain, Gothenburg Yacht Club Sweden, and the Royal Yacht Club Moscow from Russia. So, Royal Thames Yacht Club, they won their previous race. We just heard from Russell Peters a few minutes ago, being interviewed by Susan, about if they can just stay calm, then maybe they can start to, or continue to perform better as they did in that previous race, because they've had a shaky start to their regatta so far, the only British team here.
3 minutes to go to the start. Similar picture as before. Actually, I keep liking the right side. Don't know why. Maybe it just looks stronger because there's more land cover, more wind shadow on the left side, and that's why it looks a bit lighter. But what's really happening is there might be wind blowing out of those channels slightly from the left on the left side of the race course, and that gives you a lift from time to time, which is just advantageous. And we just saw the tactician, or heard the tacticians from the Norwegian say that it's a little bit leaning towards the left.
Well, it certainly seems like some boats are prepared to go out to the left very early and do most of their sailing on the left-hand side of the track, giving themselves very few tactical options. That's how much power they see in the left-hand side of the course.
But we do have a fairly even start line. So the last race was won by KDY, starting on the right-hand side of the start line. Second place for the Italians on the left-hand side of the line.
So that's the 2 minutes until the next race, race 21. Out of a total possible race, 45 races we're looking at over this 3-day weekend. So who do you fancy this time then, Marcus?
Well, let me look at the overall rankings of...
You're doing it that way. So if you're going to do it that way, I'm going to say Royal Thames Yacht Club then.
Yep, they're currently lying in 18th overall, and they're on a roll. They're climbing up the ranks. Actually, this race has no boat placed better than 14th overall. That's the Verein Seglerhaus am Wannsee from Berlin, currently placed 14th overall. And, yep.
That's quite a strange anomaly, isn't it?
Well, not quite, because the points of the previous races are already counted into the placings of... It will be a different picture after the start when there's already race scores being added here, but it's definitely not the strongest fleet we currently see. And yeah, let's have a look at who can get a bullet in this race.
40 seconds to go. Let's see how they're lining up. We see boat number 3, Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, most right-hand boat in the middle of our picture at the moment.
Royal Thames Yacht Club still looking for a starting position. They're circling behind the starting line.
And not quite as typical a lineup as we've tended to see, but it looks like Yacht Club Costa Smeralda are the ones that want the pin the most, but there's a bit more of a battle for the pin than Oman Sail had in the previous race. Boat 2 is lining up quite nicely as long as they're not over early. If Boat 2 can hold its position, that's not a bad place to start for the Berlin sailors, and they come off the line very nicely, but so too does boat number 7, and that's the Gothenburg team. So I would say that was a great start by Gothenburg, and a very good start by boat number 8 coming off this side of the course, and that is the St. Petersburg, that is the Royal Yacht Club Moscow.
And this time around we're heading towards the green mark, is that correct, Andy?
Yes, we have the green flag flying, so that tells us it's the green mark to head towards, so that's different from the previous race. And quite an even split between the boats. We're not seeing the typical surge towards the left-hand side. We got 3 going to the right, and we've got 5 going to the left right now. And Moscow's still looking very good in boat number 8. Very lifted.
They had good first upwinds before. They seem to have a hard time taking it home. We have boat number 6, Royal Thames Yacht Club, here in the foreground, closer to our spectators, not on the screen currently. Doing really well, sailing in a nice lane, heading towards the right-hand side of the course.
So we see 2 Russian boats side by side there, St. Petersburg Yacht Club and Royal Yacht Club Moscow. On the right of our picture now, boats 8 and 1. doing very well in the middle of the course. And a high heading for the boats on the left-hand side. Quite a high heading for the boats on the right. The trouble is, they need that breeze to shift. They want something to come back for them on the right-hand side of the course. And the boats on the far side look nicely pressed up. The boats are leaning over, good power in the sails. And if they could hold that all the way over to the Windward Mark, then they'd be in good shape. Boats number 2 and 3 on the far side, Yacht Club Costa Smeralda and the Berlin team looking pretty good at the moment.
Right shift kicking in at the moment. If we go to the analytic, yep, we're there. We can see that the wind has shifted a little bit to the right here, at least for these two boats. Before for them a little bit, but they're getting lifted again, so no opportunity for them to tack. And we still see a speed race on the right-hand side of the course between Royal Thames Yacht Club, which seems to be a little bit quicker than the Polish boat windward of them, but they're still battling with the Swedish boat to leeward of them. So who will win that right-hand side, and do they have a chance to overtake the boats on the left-hand side of the course? Maybe, but not if the wind doesn't shift a little bit to the right towards that ley line.
I feel a bit sorry for the Russians in the middle. We got 2 Russian boats in the middle of the course, and they haven't had any breeze, while both edges of the course have had breeze. It is coming a little bit better for the Russians in the middle of the track, but I fear it's too late for them. And I think the right-hand side is beginning to do quite nicely.
Yep, they're overtaking the lead now. According to our wind measurement, they could be ahead. And Royal Thames Yacht Club doing good in second position currently. GKSS, KSSS from Sweden in the lead currently. Yeah, if they can make the Windward Mark, it's a good chance that Royal Thames Yacht Club will round first. Can they make it, or do they have to tack again?
Well, it looks like
they're
it
squeezing,
is
they're luffing. Can they make it? Yep, they make it. So that's Royal Thames Yacht Club in first position, rounding first. Looks soft ahead of them. Jibe said could be an option. Spinnaker not coming up very nicely. Takes a while, not filled yet. Ooh, now it's filled. Quite late. Better set on the Swedish boat behind.
But it's very close behind them as well, and no one is on a breakaway at the moment. That was a missed opportunity for Russell Peters and the Purple Jenica, which was slow to set on the Royal Thames Yacht Club.
One boat doing turns there.
Yeah, so one boat, I think it's boat number 7, which is the Gothenburg team, paying a high price for taking a penalty with their spinnaker half hoisted, but they're up and running now.
And Royal Thames Yacht Club being overtaken at the moment by the Swedish boat from Stockholm. They're going really slow and low. That could prove to be expensive. The jibe doesn't seem to be a good option right now.
I think Royal Thames with the Purple Jenica are making the best of a bad job. I think tactically they're in still quite a strong position. If they can just hold on and not lose too much air from their Jenica from the other teams around them, then they might still be able to hold on to this lead. But that is certainly a good attacking move from KSSS, the Swedish team from Royal Swedish Yacht Club.
Yep, Royal Thames jibing now. Boat number 3. Is it boat number 3 or 6?
Yes, boat number 3.
3 converging back into the middle.
Boat number 6. Yeah.
Yep.
So it looks like the Swedes on the far left, just out of picture, to the left of the Purple Jenica, might have made a good gain here, but it's not all lost for Royal Thames Yacht Club. Some good gains out of picture being made on the far side near our commentary position. Boats coming back with good breeze, and they could start threatening the leaders. Amongst those are the Poles on boat number 5, Hodzinski Club Czerklasky. And it's going to be very busy, a lot of traffic down at this bottom mark. There's 4 boats, all with a chance at the lead down here at the bottom mark. What are they going to choose? At least they've
mega close.
I'd say the Poles are doing very nicely here.
Well, they had a great downwind, absolutely great downwind.
Royal
They
Thames
pretty much came from last. Royal Thames will have to round behind them.
And what a great change of position there by the Poles, taking up the lead, coming round the right-hand mark, just ahead of the previous race leaders, Royal Thames Yacht Club.
Nice rounding by James Peters, by the way. He managed to squeeze into the middle. He's tacking right away.
Oh, but there's a red flag being pointed at somebody.
Oh,
And that Purple Jenica's breaking free, and it's all gone terribly badly wrong for Royal Thames Yacht Club. Handed a penalty. Maybe they hit something, either a boat or a mark, as they snuck round the inside of the poles. And the previous race leaders are now in last place. What a shocker. And they are not at all happy about it. They're flying their own red flag. They're waving their own flag of protest, but is it going to come to anything? So, meanwhile, boat number 5, the Poles, have taken up the lead on the right-hand side of the track, just tacking. On picture, we see the disgruntled Russell Peters. Will he be able to regain his calm and pick up some places? It's hard to see him winning back the race lead at this stage.
and we have another interview lined up in a minute with two sailors from the Oman sailing team, and they're going to talk about how they combine professional sailing with the Champions League, and also if we will see a sailing league in Oman, and that will be with Suzanne in a minute. But meanwhile, let's stick with the racing and see how this pans out. The Swedes are back on top on the left-hand side of the course.
Royal Swedish Yacht Club in boat number 4, out on their own, doing quite nicely. And they've done well to get a little bit of a breakaway on the rest of the fleet. Another Swedish team from Gothenburg in boat number 7, also doing well out on the far side of the course. So at the moment, could even be a Swedish 1-2 in this race right now.
And the Polish team, who came back so spectacularly, is also dropping down again on this upwind. What a great downwind they had.
Yeah, incredible. And good gains to be made on this right-hand side of the track, downwind anyway, because upwind it hasn't worked out for them so well, which is surprising when you see the gust in front of our commentary position. It looks like the right should pay better than it does. Boat number 5 on the far side of the race course from us. That's the Poles tacking, but being tacked on by the boat above them, Royal Yacht Club Moscow. And on the left of our picture, we see boat number 4. That's the Royal Swedish Yacht Club tacking onto the ley line, and it looks like Royal Swedish Yacht Club will be taking the lead around the green mark as they are about to hoist the spinnaker and head down towards the finish. Royal Swedish Yacht Club with Hans Lilleblad, Johan Hedberg, John Magnusson and Wilhelm Lilleblad sailing that team together.
And rounding in second place, it's the Verein Segelhaus am Wannsee from Berlin. Nice catch-up for them. They started as fourth and climbed up to second now. Good work.
That's Petra Niemann. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Petra Niemann, yes, almost.
And remind us, what's her pedigree? Where does she come from?
She was a great Europe and then laser sailor, and she represented Germany at the Olympics in 2008 in Qingdao in the laser radial.
Being crewed on the Berlin boat by Max Popkin, Jan Kowalski and Julian Bergerman. Good lead for the Swedes. Boat number 4 looks unassailable. And further back up the fleet, the Purple Jenica that was leading is now in 6th place. So they've at least pulled a couple of places back, but that's the best that Russell Peters is going to manage in this race, because the front 5 have a big lead on the back 3. But the boat we're looking at now, boat number 4, Royal Swedish Sailing Club, Hans Lilleblad and his crew, with a nice lead coming in towards the finish and pretty much able to sail through the line in one go on starboard jibe. They may not have to do any further jibing.
Yeah, the close battles are happening in the back of the fleet between Royal Thames Yacht Club, who are trying to defend against St. Petersburg Yacht Club. And there's good breeze on the right-hand side. First boat has finished now.
Well done to Royal Swedish Yacht Club. Hans Lilleblad, Johan Hedberg, John Magnusson and Wilhelm Lilleblad winning that race. And there were multiple lead changes in that race. It was very confused down at the leeward gate, but somehow the Swedes managed to escape the worst of it.
Yeah, and they pulled away quite nicely. And now in second place, we have from Berlin, Verein Seglerhaus am Wannsee, Petra Niemann and her crew. And in third place, another Swedish boat, GKSS from Gothenburg.
Followed by Yacht Club Costa Smeralda from Sardinia. Crossing in fourth place, that's a little bit better. Congratulating each other, just a little pat on the shoulder. The Italians reasonably happy with that. They've had a pretty poor start to the regatta, but they're gradually getting it together. Boat number 8 crossing, that's Royal Yacht Club Moscow, and it's looking very close for the final 3, but I fear that out of this battle, Royal Thames Yacht Club, the early race leaders, might be finishing in last place. They got handed that penalty at the leeward gate, and it's gone about as badly wrong as it could have done. After winning the start, they've lost the finish.
Ooh, yeah.
Tough moments.
Yeah, they're not on a roll anymore.
So that's how tough it is out there. So many opportunities. And remember, the Poles, they were leading at one point round that leeward gate, and they finished 6th. Just behind the sailors there, you can see another victim of the bungee jump. Paying good money for a detached retina on his eyeball.
All right, we've got an interview lined up with Oman Sailing, 2 sailors from their team talking to us about the sailing out there and about the slight temperature differences between Oman and Copenhagen on this weekend.
So that'll be coming up shortly. We'll hear from Suzanne, and it sounds like she's ready to talk to Phil Robertson, who I see down there. Kiwi match racing talent and also on the Extreme Sailing Series. Susan just trying to work out how to switch on the microphone.
Good problems. Sorry. Yes, I'm standing here with Phil Robertson and Nasa Al-Mashari from the Oman Yacht Club. Phil, first of all, I want to hear you're sailing the Extreme 40s and other professional World Match Racing Tour, other professional sailing leagues. How do you combine sailing this Champions League with this?
It actually works out pretty well. It's have a bit of time off at the moment and racing again next week in Bermuda, so happen to be in the area, and what a cool opportunity to be able to come and sail here on a pretty cool race course and some cool little boats.
You sail professionally full time. How do you find the level here in the Champions League, where it's not only professionals sailing?
Yeah, look, I didn't know what to expect when I showed up here on Thursday, and been really surprised. I think there's some very, very good sailors out here, and the level is extremely high, and it's definitely not easy. You throw that into this race course where it's very shifty and very short, and it's easy to come last.
Nasa, you're from Oman and live there. How do you see this Champions League going into sailing in Oman?
Well, it's, I mean, for us, it's as a first time here in Denmark. It's very cold. I mean, hope to be back there. I mean, to do this regatta in Oman. I mean, sailing development coming more and more, and we have a lot of schools now for it. And Oman Sail, it will be, I mean, host this event in Oman, hopefully, and most welcome anytime there.
How can you use this event to try to get a league into Oman. Can you show some videos and tell your experience, or how do you share it in Oman?
Well, as most of Omanis now, they will watch. Following us, what we're doing, and by Oman Sale Management, they will, advise a lot for it, and hope we do very good here, and to present it for Oman, and we do it in Oman.
And do you feel the support from back home?
Yes, we have a couple of phone call, Ali and I, and what we're doing, also a friend, and we told them about the weather. They was a bit, chilly and everything. So in Oman, definitely we're going to be a big different, warm and wind as well there, and it was going to be very good hosting there.
And Phil, you're not from Oman originally. You're from New Zealand. How did you end up sailing on this team?
A very late call up, straight fresh off the bench. So no, I think the Oman Sail, the program that they run, is just trying as hard as they can to develop young Omani sailors into professional sailors. So they've put a mix of young guys in with some professional sailors to teach them a little bit how to do it properly. And you've got guys like Nasser and Ali on our boat now who are very, very good sailors, and I think they've been in the program for 5 years, something like that. So coming from a background of no sailing to a level like here and on the Extreme Sailing Series in the Mod 70s, and suddenly becoming very, very good sailors, and hopefully one day there'll be a nation of Omanis just dominating the world sailing.
Yeah, we hope to see that, and also we're hoping that you can continue your good racing. You had your races were better and better during today and yesterday, so of course we hope that Oman will keep up having those good races.
Thank you, Susan. Speaking there to Phil Robertson and Nasser Al-Mashari on Oman Sail. Overnight leaders yesterday, a couple of times they were caught over the line this morning, had to turn back round, and as Phil Robertson just said, very easy to finish last in these races.
But they're still top 5. We're going to look at the overall results after we come back from a little break, and waiting for the next flight, which is going to be flight number 8. So we're sort of at the midway point now with the races to be done here at the Sailing Champions League. They're going to continue until tomorrow afternoon, and today probably at least 2 more flights to go.
Well, we'll come back to you after a very short break. Join us in a few minutes' time. Welcome back to the Sailing Champions League. We've just had the first race of Flight 8 and we will talk about the action, but first we've got Susan Boyden down on the ground about to speak to one of the Swedish sailors. Susan, take it away.
Yes, I'm standing here with Hans Liljeblad from the Royal Swedish Yacht Club KSSS. Hans, how are your races going so far in the Champions League?
Except for the last one, we haven't been very successful. It's the first time in the J70, and we find it pretty tricky.
Yes, because in the last race you did very well. Can you see a development through this regatta so far?
Yeah, I think we're doing better and better sailing by sailing, so yeah, we're learning.
Which things have you learned so far?
Wow, everything, I must say. Boat handling, and we haven't sailed with the Janaker previously, so that's another challenge for us.
For us here on shore, we really we want to hear what's going on the boat. So can you tell us about what are you doing on board handling these challenging J70s?
We've been sailing together for some time in other classes, so we have a pretty solid maneuvers to do, and well, we're learning race after race, so I think we're doing pretty well. Everybody is learning what they should do, tacking and jibing and so forth.
Now your two neighbor countries, Germany and Sweden, they have a league inside their countries, the German and the Danish Sailing League. Do you see any future for a sailing league in Sweden?
Absolutely. I think this is a great concept, and I really would like the Swedish Sailing Association to pick up on this.
How can you go back to Sweden and tell about this and try to make the Swedish Sailing Association to make a league?
We have a delegate here from the association, and I think she's pretty enthusiastic about what's going on.
And what do you see the league could make for a difference in the Swedish sailing in general?
I think we could find one class that all sailors from different other classes would gather in and sail against each other. That would be the great advantage.
Okay, thank you, Hans. I wish you good luck for keeping on developing in the J70. And now I know there will come some sailing analytics. Isn't that right?
We hope so, Susan. That's what we're leading into next. Thanks to that interview with Hans Liljeblad from Sweden just then. And getting to grips with the J70, not a boat that he's familiar with, but seems to be getting the hang of it because he won his last race.
Yeah, good job on that. And let's use the time until the next race to analyze the last race a little bit by looking at the SAP Sailing Analytics and some stats. I mean, it gives us all the information that we can pretty much derive from the GPS data. And I've got some interesting columns up here where we could first look at the average speed the boats had in the past race, where you could see that there's somewhat a correlation between the first four boats finishing, the winner being the fastest boat out of those top four. But then we see some fast boats down here, and it makes you wonder, why didn't they win? What did they do differently? And if you look at the distances they sailed, well, for example, the Polish club was the fastest boat in the fleet, but they covered the most distance, so maybe they were just sailing low and fast and not actually a very high VMG. But what's also interesting is if you look at the number of maneuvers, and there's a clear correlation that the boat with the least number of maneuvers won this regatta, and that might be a pattern to look out for, to actually avoid doing too many moves, which are always costly, obvious. I mean, this is not a laser where attack doesn't cost anything, probably half a boat length or a boat length. What do you think, Andy? How much would you have to pay for attack?
I would think in these boats, maybe half a boat length.
Yeah, maybe in these conditions, but it's something you give away, and if you can minimize the maneuvers, there's a boat length there already between those two boats, the winning boat who had 7 maneuvers, and we can even delve in to find out what kind of maneuvers there were. They did 4 tacks and 3 jibes. That's pretty much the absolute minimum you can do on this racetrack.
Presumably if you get a penalty, then that's going to rack up an extra tack and a jibe on these statistics.
No, the analytics actually counted as a penalty turn. They are that smart. And then there's a really interesting column which is called cross-tack error, which measures how far a boat moves to either one side of the course. And we saw some races today where we had a clear correlation between the winning boats heading off to the left side of the course. In this race, it's not that clear. You can see that the winning boat was on the left side, that the minus indicates left, and it was 25 meters on average on the left side, where the second place boat was 27 meters towards the right, so no clear correlation there. Then maybe a little bit that the third and fourth place boat were also coming from the left, and the fifth's a little bit to the right. So no clear correlation, but this is really interesting data to look at after the race to see if we saw a clear pattern. Maybe this last race falls out of it a little bit, because I think beforehand we saw the boats doing a little better on the left side of the course. So we'll continue to look at these analytics from now on after the racing to maybe spot some patterns, which also might be interesting for the sailors out there.
So are the sailors with their iPhones and other brands are available, smartphones, able to look at this data live in the way that we are?
Yes, they actually are. And debate would be on if that's legal, if that's outside assistance, if they can actually do that. I think there's a rule in the at least the German sailing league where you can't use your smartphone out on the water.
Well, I think that's just a standard rule of sailing, isn't it? I think that's standard by the current racing rules of sailing, I thought.
Well, it says outside assistance, but...
well, and electronics. I thought use of electronics was limited as well.
Unless they're specifically allowed, right?
Yeah, I think so. But what I was thinking of was even in between races, because you're doing one race and then you sit out two races. That cross-track error data that you just showed us is pretty much confirming our hunch that the left is the way to go. I mean, and when you see it in hard data, it just confirms that sense that the left is the safer side of the course to go, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, but just the last race broke that pattern a little bit, so let's look out for that data in the future. So we've got 2 minutes to go to the next start.
So in a moment, let's have a look at who's going to be racing in the next race. This is the race 2 of Flight 8. So amongst those, we have Oman Sail, who we just saw two of the team members interviewed. Our current series leaders, Socolo Canottieri Agnelli from Rome, Norddeutsche Regatta Verein from Germany, Royal Thames Yacht Club, Royal Gothenburg Yacht Club, Gran Canaria from Spain, Royal Danish Yacht Club. So we got some really, really hot teams here. We've got a number of previous race winners here, not least the Italians, who have won 5 of their 8 races so far, which is why it's no surprise to see them at the top of the leaderboard.
And they're actually leading by 8 points, which means that even if the NRV wins a race and the Italians would come last, they would still be in the lead. So they've got the amazing series so far. And it's nice to see the NRV and the CCA from Italy both in this fleet battling it out against each other.
And I think, based on what we've seen about the strength of the left, that winning the pin is a critical part of this race. So who is shaping up as looking like they want that pin? At the moment, it's boats number 1 and 4 that are furthest to the right. And those boats are Oman, boat number 1, and boat number 4 is Royal Thames Yacht Club. So it's 2 British skippers that have done a lot of racing against each other in the past, Rob Greenhalgh and Russell Peters, and currently it's Russell Peters, the keen amateur, that has got the pin position over the paid professional Rob Greenhalgh, but it's the Rob Greenhalgh who is trying to get over the top of Royal Thames Yacht Club. 2 seconds to go. Is anyone going to be over the line? Let's see if the flag goes up.
Beautiful start by Royal Thames Yacht Club. Is the flag up?
No, I don't see any flag up, so it means it was a clear start, and there were 2 good starts by 2 British sailors on the far side, one of them sailing for Oman Sail.
Actually, slightly better acceleration on Oman Sail. Rob Greenhalgh got away a little bit better. He won the start on the far end.
You would have to say, actually, there's a lot of teams that got good starts here, because it was a little bit more starboard biased, this line. It wasn't quite as pin end favoured. And so boat number 3 has
That's
come
the
off.
NRV.
The Germans, who have done, I think they've had all their scores in the top 3 today, except one. Did they have one disastrous one? I'm trying to remember now. They've certainly won one race today. And on the near side of the course, we have the Italians, the current series leaders, out on their own on this racetrack at the moment, looking for a way up the track on the what I believe to be the slightly less favoured right-hand side of the track.
In the analytics, they're actually ranked as last at the moment, still overall first, but in this race they're last. Too early to call, of course. We're only not even halfway up the first beat, but that's where they are at the moment. Oman Sail leading the pack. Royal Thames Yacht Club below them. No freedom to tack on the left-hand side, so they got to wait for Oman to tack. And, well, they're tacking now, but Oman Sail is tacking right on top of them. That could prove to be expensive for Royal Thames Yacht Club, as they have to go all the way to the windward mark with the bad air from Oman Sail.
I quite like where NRV, boat number 3, have been.
Yep.
Sort of middle left. They're just tacking now.
And they're taking the lead.
So good solid tactical position there by Carsten Kemmling and the Germans racing for Norddeutsche Regatta Verein.
That's this boat right here. Nice position, leeward, safe leeward position ahead of Oman Sail, Rob Greenock and his team. Will they be able to squeeze him off? Yep, they had to tack away.
And
so I expect NRV to continue onwards to the ley line if nothing dramatic happens, just because we did talk about this a minute ago. You want to avoid too many maneuvers.
And on the far side of the course, on the right-hand side, there's a lot more space because it's a lot less favoured. But the Royal Danish Yacht Club chancing their arm on the right-hand side of this track. Michael Hesbeck, he's one of the locals round here, but even Hesbeck doesn't do much sailing on this particular bit of water, so it's about as unfamiliar to the locals as it is to any of the visitors.
And it's going to be a close conversion between the KDY coming in from the right-hand side and the NRV coming in from the left. And at the moment, the KDY looks a little bit better. It looks like they could pass. They're getting it lifted, and they're getting lifted again. Very close battle up there. Meanwhile, the battle between Royal Thames Yacht Club and Oman Sail continues on the left side, and Royal Thames Yacht Club could actually slip through underneath Oman Sail. But that's a little bit in the back. KDY at the moment has the upper hand. They can't lay the windward mark yet. They will have to put in 2 tacks. Yep, they're putting in the tacks now. But I think they'll get there first. And NRV doesn't have the freedom to tack at the moment. They're held up by GKSS from Sweden.
It looks very messy up there. It looks really messy
But
up there.
good job for Michael Hesbeck again. Really solid first upwind. The right-hand side did pay for him. We did talk about the pattern of the left-hand side being better, just getting broken. He did come from the right-hand side. Certainly wasn't bad at all.
Well, you're right about that pattern being broken, because the 2 boats that got the best starts from the left-hand side, we're just going to get a call in maybe from the windward mark. So,
Hi, Lotte. What do you see out there? Lotte, can you hear us? No. Connection seems to be broken. That was Lotte.
we were hoping to have match racer Lotte Meldegard feed in some information about what she saw at that very congested windward mark as Michael Hesbeck and Royal Danish Yacht Club throw their boat through a jibe onto port jibe.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I was just at the top mark where we had the whole 7 boats within less than a boat length each, so it was a very tight rounding.
It was a very tight rounding. We could see that from here. So who got out on top?
The Royal Danish Yacht Club had a very nice rounding and had the lead from the beginning, but it seems like we are in a bit of a wind hole right now, so we got a lot of speed. So let's see at the bottom mark.
All right, thanks for that, Lotte. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.
So meanwhile, there's been some big gains down the right-hand side of the track again. The right-hand side coming good for boat number 3.
That's
NRV.
The NRV taking the lead again. Interesting position by the helmsman there.
So a really good gain by the Germans coming down this side of the track.
So which mark are they going to choose? Which side of the course would you want to go on? I like the right-hand side. Strong breeze there.
Okay, I'll take the left then, seeing as you've got the right.
Okay, that makes it more interesting. I love the right now. And that's where NRV is going. Nice downwind for them. KDY heading out to the left. The breeze is on the right-hand side. Let's see how they exit that gate. Maybe a little bit of a bias towards the left-hand side where KDY is rounding. They might have a slight advantage there. Let's see how far the NRV is heading out to the right-hand side. Very close, very exciting race. They're closely followed by Gekko SS from Gothenburg and Circolo Canottieri Agnene from Italy, the current series leader. And the split goes wide. A lot could happen on this upwind. NRV is tacking.
A lot of roll in that tack by NRV and a lot of leaning out on the new tack.
But they're looking good. Looks like they're going very high.
You said you wanted the right, and it is looking good on the right now for NRV, and also for boat number 5 going even further out to the right, and that is the Gothenburg team sailing over towards the Little Mermaid, and now
being forced by a tourist trap.
We have tourist traps on the
race course
as well. And the boats that went right looking very high on starboard tack, and it does seem as though Royal Danish Yacht Club, which is the best of the boats on the left, has conceded a little bit of ground to NRV. NRV in the middle of the course, crew leaning out hard on starboard. We're looking at the Gothenburg team right now.
In the tracking, they're looking quite good. It looks like they're almost overtaking NRV, but not quite. Let's look at the distance to leader. Just 7 meters behind. If we look at the number of maneuvers being done, the NRV is has sailed pretty simply at the moment. Only 5 maneuvers so far. Same for Gekko SS. And the right-hand side is paying off so far.
It does seem like the trend is switching back more towards the right at the moment.
Maybe there was a change in current. Would be good if Lotte could go out there and maybe throw something in the water and get a feel for the current. Would be really interesting to know if that's the deciding factor here. NRV tacked really close to the boats on the left-hand side, so the split actually hasn't paid off that well for them. Seems like the winner of the whole thing could be the Swedes. Oh no, does the NRV have to do turns? No, they have to go behind. They had to go behind.
They had to dip behind Gothenburg, and so that was a big dip taken by NRV. They gave away a lot of ground, and Gothenburg now the most left-hand boat, but they look soft. It doesn't look like boat number 5 has an awful lot of breeze on the far left of the track.
And it's actually the Italians who came back out on top after this upwind, and they were heading towards the left.
Well, who would have thought? These Italians, they just seem to be able to squeeze out small advantages, and they were dead last in the early stages of the first beat.
Yeah, they just came through in stealth mode. I can't believe it. They had it out to the left, just did one tack and came back. Must have had good speed as well.
So cool Italian heads. You would think they would be struggling with the climate, but it doesn't seem to be affecting them.
No, we even heard the Omani say it's a cool regatta. That's got a little bit of a pun to it.
And a good lead by the Italians as well. Very early.
Amazing upwind. Amazing upwind. We should look at that after the race. We should look at the analytics and see what they have done, how they gained that lead from being almost last, you say. I didn't quite follow it.
Yeah, they were last in the early stages of the first beat.
Yeah.
They were most right-hand boat.
So it's the Italian boat leading now, Swedish boat from Gothenburg, Gekko SS in second place. NRV and KDY tied for third position at the moment.
So a lot of the boats driving onto Port Jibe now, including the race leaders from Italy, in a safe defending position there with a good gap back to the next boats. It looks like second, third and fourth are very much up for grabs, but hard to see the Italians being caught at this stage. Breeze is a little bit softer though.
Yep, and the right-hand side of the course seems to be more popular than ever. Nobody really wants to go out to the right-hand side except boat number 6. Everyone else heading over to this side. Italians defending their lead nicely.
And in the picture you can see Carsten Kemling standing up the whole time, steering with what most people would say was the wrong hand. He's got a strange stance in the boat where he's holding onto the main sheet. It looks like maybe he's occasionally pumping the main sheet and steering with a tiller behind his back. It looks awkward, but clearly he makes it work because they're one of the top teams here and winners of the German league for the past 2 years as well. So the Italians made their final jibe.
It's going to be a close finish. NRV goes to the far end here. Will they be able to squeeze in and come second? Or is it the Swedes that are going to take the second place in this race? It's going to be awfully close.
The Germans have a little bit more speed on this side of the track compared with the Swedes, but is it going to be enough? I think the Swedes are going to struggle to get through in one go. They might have to sail a little bit deeper than they'd like to. The Germans have the freedom to be able to head up and put a little bit more pace into the sails. But that's a win. That's the 6th out of their 9 races now that they've done that Sokolo Canottieri Agnelli have won, and an incredible comeback for the Italians. But who's going to win between the Germans and the Swedes?
It's really close. It's really close. It looks like the Swedes took the win. The NRV tried to jibe into. What do the analytics say? The analytics have the NRV in the lead, but this one was very close to call. We will have to wait for the official results to come in on that race.
Oman Sail in 4th, Royal Danish Yacht Club in 5th. That's a little bit disappointing for Michael Hesbeck and the Danes, who were doing so well in the earlier stages of the race. And it looks like it was Royal Thames Yacht Club that was last across the line, unfortunately for them, because they had a great start. And well, Marcus, you seem to like the right in that race, and the 2 boats that got the best start off the pin end going out towards the left were last and second last by the top mark, so left really didn't work too well on the first beat.
Well, one thing I can read from the sailing analytics already is that the boat who was the furthest to the left overall in this race, and that is the Royal Thames Yacht Club. They had 50 meters on average on the left-hand side. They came last, so that certainly didn't pay. The winners, the Italians, on average were sort of in the middle. Then the second boat a little bit lean towards the right. No super clear pattern there with regards to the sides, but being all the way far to the left certainly didn't pay. Maneuver-wise, we've seen that over and over again. The winners tend to have less maneuvers, but one boat broke into the top 3, Oman Sail, with 3 extra maneuvers, top 3 with 13 moves, and no super clear pattern with regards to speed and distance. Oman Sail covering a lot more distance, but being the fastest boat on the racetrack. I guess sailing a shorter distance. No, it was really the combination of speed and distance that mattered in this race. So no super clear patterns emerging. I think it's worth going back in time a little bit and looking at the and looking at what the Italians did on that second upwind that made them advance to the first place. So let's go to the beginning of the second upwind and highlight the Italians. Yep, we've got them highlighted there. And they rounded in 4th position and simply headed out to the left-hand side of the course, went far, far, far. This is especially interesting, this little bit here where they climbed up high, tacked on a shift and came back high into the mark. coming from fourth to first in one upwind, and
can
they
you
kept
just show
it
us
really
a
simple. So there, the left side was super sweet.
But show us a little bit more, because they're still not doing that well at that point, are they?
No, they are in the lead here. That's where they took the lead. Look, they're rounding in fourth position. They're down in fourth right here.
Yeah.
And they head off to the left side. They go fast, they go high again, and they manage to climb up to first. Incredible, super simple, and really nice how we can follow this with the sailing analytics. Remember the old days when we were arguing about what had happened, and it had no relation to reality whatsoever.
Well, virtual reality looking very sweet there on the tracks for Italy, and a phenomenal set of scores that they're putting together here for this regatta.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, we'll look at the overall results a little later, and they'll be hard to beat.
If they keep on sailing that way, if they can come back from the back end of the fleet and win races like that.
So
that was race 23. So that takes us just past the halfway stage of this regatta.
And we've got one more race to go in this flight, right?
Yes, we do.
So we'll only look at overall results once this flight is done. Maybe a little bit early, so we take a little mini break until the next start, which will be on in a few minutes. And then we'll be back with a commentary and maybe some interviews from Susanne.
Welcome back to the Sailing Champions League. We are just about to get into sequence for race 24, and there we have our drone looking over the top of the 8 Volvo 70s, I was going to say.
It's J70s.
Yeah,
Andy.
They're a little bit smaller than that.
Yeah.
And much newer.
And here's the lineup for this next race, race number 3 in flight number 8. And we've got the Kungliga Svenska Segelsällskapet from that's KSSS from Stockholm. And we've got the Yacht Club Bregenz from Austria, Royal Norwegian Yacht Club, the Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, and Hellerup Sail Club, Thunersee Yacht Club from Switzerland, Sport Nautique del West from France, and St. Petersburg Yacht Club from Russia. That's this flight, and I'll dig out the overall standings of these boats to see who our hot contenders are.
Just over 1 minute to go. And last race we saw the right becoming a little bit stronger. There's not such a clear pattern as there was earlier on in the day when the left seemed to be the way to go. So there are more options, more possibilities available, and the sailors will be very aware of that, and it will determine the way in which they shape up for this start coming up now in just 35 seconds. And it's the green mark that they'll be heading for. They have a choice of 3 marks, the race committee, and they have gone for the middle of those marks, the green mark, which is most in the center of the channel. 25 seconds to go. And there's a bit more of a battle for the committee boat end of the line than we've seen.
Yeah, less of a
previous-
bias, by the way, looking at the wind data coming from that little windmast at the back of the starting boat. There is less of a bias towards the left side. Maybe that's why the battle is on for the right-hand side a bit more, vying for tacking freedom. Maybe that's what the boats are after.
And I like some of the starts up at this end. We'll talk about some of those boats in a moment. But boat number 4 looks particularly strong going out to the left. It's Yacht Club Costa Smeralda that won the pin. In terms of the boats up this end, I would say that it's between Yacht Club Bregenz and the RMYC, the Royal Norwegian Sailing Club, that got very good starts out this side.
I have to highlight the local heroes, the Hellerup Sail Club in boat number 5, which is a hot contender in this fleet. They're currently lying in a 3rd or 4th position overall, depending on this race, really. If they can, they're ranked currently in the analytics as 2nd place boat, and that would put them in 3rd overall, lifting them onto the podium. Hellerup Sail Club on boat number 5.
The French in boat number 7 also looking good on our side of the track, on the right-hand side of the track. A little bit behind the rest, it's the Royal Swedish Yacht Club sailing out to the right-hand side on their own and a little bit back from the other boats at the moment. Hans Lilleblad, we had an interview with him about half an hour ago. He's just tacking, sailing back towards the middle of the course, saying he was still learning how to get the best out of the J70. And
Yacht Club Costa Smeralda has to duck behind, if you see that correctly. And nice battle here on the right-hand side between those 3 boats. Most outside boat being KSSS from Sweden.
a Yacht Club Bregenz getting across the boats on starboard, and now the most right-hand boat. Max Trippolt and his team from Austria seeing what the right brings them, and at the moment they have a good heading going out to the right-hand side. Just going out of picture, we saw boat number 3, and that was from the Royal Norwegian Yacht Club. Christopher Spohn, who we also heard from earlier on one of Suzanne's interviews, doing pretty well on the right-hand side and out in their own clear patch of breeze, as we can see there. Much, much busier to their left. That's where all the traffic is, on the right-hand side of the course.
St. Petersburg Yacht Club currently in the lead on the left-hand side of the fleet of the course. The Norwegians in second place.
Looks like there's more breeze on the left-hand side. That might just be the light, but it looks a little bit like the darkest patch of water is on the left.
Yeah, and the boats look a bit faster there as well.
Is it going to be enough, though? Because those boats are a little bit back from the leaders right now. This is still very even from left to right across the course. There's no real clear leader.
Hellerup Sail Club in the middle of the pack, sort of 5th place at the moment. And as they're approaching the windward mark, it's going to be a very close battle. We need to focus in on that. Who gets away? Who gets through? Will it be the Norwegians? Probably make it through.
Christopher Spohn and the Norwegians looking like they booked their spot at the top mark. The guys in dark blue. They've sailed a very good regatta so far. And the Jenica going up. Will it be a clear hoist?
Hellerup Sail Club right in the bunch there, down in 5th place at the moment. What a nice upwind by the Norwegians. Oh, and we've got a tangled up spinnaker on the 2nd place boat, which is St. Petersburg Yacht Club, but they managed to get it out.
And a good set on the boats behind them as well. Norwegians have a little bit of a gap on St. Petersburg Yacht Club. A jibe by the leaders.
Back into the middle of the course, playing it safely. Nice breeze on the right-hand side of the course. That's probably where they're heading to. St. Petersburg Yacht Club also driving behind him, follow the leader.
Fairly safe position there for the Norwegians, although boat number 3 maybe picking up, boat number 4 picking up a little bit down the inside of them, maybe. That's Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, slightly lower heading than the Norwegians.
So what can Hellerup Sail Club do in order to gain some ground there? They're headed out to the left-hand side of the course, vying for the inside room of that gate, which is probably a little bit biased towards the left. And let's remember the last race where the Italians just took that mark, headed far out to the left, and climbed from 4th to 3rd place in just one upwind. And that's where the Danish team, Hellerup Sailing, is headed towards. They want to take the inside room on that mark. That's where the Norwegians want to go. And the second placed boat, Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, St. Petersburg Yacht Club, drop down to 3rd. And will that's going to be a very, very tricky rounding there. Do the Danes claim inside room? St. Petersburg goes to the other mark. That's really fortunate for Hellerup Sailing Club. They get to go inside. That would have been a bit close. What do you think, Andy?
Well, I think St. Petersburg Yacht Club did the best thing that they could do, which was concede it to the Danes and admit that they were probably better to go off to the opposite side of the course.
But I'm not sure they would have had to give inside room. It looked like they had broken the overlap. Maybe we can look at that a little bit later. But fortunate for Hellerup Sailing Club anyway. Now St. Petersburg Yacht Club going really high on the right-hand side of the course. Bit of a erratic boat movement there.
Well, it looked like the breeze was changing, but it looks like the breeze is changing in their favour. I think as they tack their boat number 8, St. Petersburg Yacht Club picks up good breeze, good lifting gust on starboard tack. And at the moment, they look pretty good. If that were to hold for them, then it wouldn't be too bad for St. Petersburg Yacht Club. But as I say that, on the far side, boat number 3 tacks the Norwegians. They get a lovely shift to take them onto port tack with only minimal change of direction as they went through that tack. So looking very strong for the race leaders right now. And the left looking as strong as it has done in some time now. Yacht Club Costa Smeralda also going very well on the far side, and there's the prospect of more breeze coming down from the left-hand side. There's a dark patch of water over that side. Whether it will reach the race leaders, I'm not sure, because Norway is a little bit more bow down than they were 2 minutes or a minute ago, but still getting across everybody on the right-hand side very comfortably.
Hellerup Sail Club doing well on the left-hand side, but now they're getting badly headed.
And the boat's on port tack now on a very low heading.
Yep, big right-hand shift.
Big gust as well.
Yeah, the breeze is going back and forth. If we look at the tracking, look at the trail of Hellerup Sail Club here. They're snaking massively. They had to tack here to avoid the Bluebird St. Petersburg Yacht Club, give right away to them. That's bad news for Hellerup Sail Club, I'm afraid, because these boats over here might pass them. It's the Course SS on the far right. Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, sort of in the middle of the course at the moment. And Hellerup Sail Club now coming back towards the middle. Not a good upwind for them at all.
And that was such a big shift on the right. The Norwegians managed to make that in one tack. Just a slight luff to windward just to get around the mark.
I don't even think they expected to lay the line there.
I don't think they did.
When they were attacking, they thought, okay, let's just go under the lay line to not give away any space, and then it shifted to the right.
That's how good it got for them.
Yeah.
And what a big lead the Norwegians have now. The second boat wasn't quite able to do it in one. It tried to shoot the mark, and it's paid the price by losing a lot of speed. Sort of does a little dip onto port and then gets round on starboard. And, wow, they managed to get that kite up quickly. So the main already fully blown out there on the downwind leg.
And they're playing it super safely, going back into the middle of the course. Nice breeze. They're going low and fast. Nobody can catch them now. So let's focus on the back of the fleet, because we've got a tight battle going on between the Swedish club KSSS and the Italian club Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, which are almost on par there in the middle. And we now saw one of them jibe away. That's the Italians Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, and it's difficult to say which side's going to pay off there. There is a bit of a breeze coming in for the Swedes on the left-hand side of the course. A little bit soft in the middle where the Italians are.
So yeah, the breeze has softened up across the course. There's a bit of a patch of gust on the right-hand side, but it's nowhere that any of the teams can get to. And the race leaders have looked more and more assured of victory as they've gone along in this race. No one has threatened them for the last lap.
That's probably the biggest win we've seen so far.
It must be one
almost half a downwind ahead, at least third of a downwind ahead. Massive lead. Now, the Swedes on the left-hand side of the course look really good. Probably, but we've got really nice breeze coming in on the right-hand side. Looks like they got so much more pressure. The Swedes are in a bit of trouble. They could lose 3-4 boats. Yep.
Oh,
it looks like very, very bad news for them.
So, great sailing by Yacht Club Costa Smeralda. Looks like they may well get second place in this race.
And now the Swedes are even getting forced to jibe away from the finish.
And that's the power of the right. It's the power of coming in on starboard jibe, and it's the weakness of coming in on port jibe and being forced back by your competitors. Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, they managed to keep their cool. It looks like they're just going to get second place, but it's still very busy coming in for the next boats. Next across, it could well be the French, who were back in last place at one point. Have they managed to get third in that? It was a very tight finish across the line, but the big losers out of all of that were the Swedes.
Yeah, it looks like the French came third, the Austrians fourth, and the Swedes are down to sixth place. That was a terrible downwind, and that's because they went too far onto the left-hand side of the course. So again, it does look like the pattern of the left being better this morning is clearly broken. There's no single-sided track anymore. You could come from either side, and especially on the downwind, we saw boats doing really well on the right-hand side of the course.
And tactically, of course, it is very weak if you're on a port starboard situation, and that's what it found itself in.
And we have a call from Lotte from On the Water. Lotte, tell us, what have you seen? Sorry, I need to fix the sound first.
Right?
Lotte, you're on now.
How did you see the race today? It was, for us, it was really great. And decided to, we have to step up our game. And because we had a really bad one in the fifth race this race. So, the first time we started on the committee board. And then just, everything was perfect. We found the shift and played it very well. Yeah, you extended quite a lot at the last upwind and downwind. So you just got out the boat handling, or what went well for you? No, I think my tactician, Kirsten Horne Halvorsen, was, he was showing us the way, how to take the shift. And the guys, Sigurd and Breda, they did an excellent job to handling the boat around the course. Well done, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, I told them that they could.
Christopher Spohn from Royal Norwegian Yacht Club just celebrating victory there, and what a resounding victory it was for the Norwegians just then.
So let's look at the data and find out what could have been the pattern behind their victory. If we can look at the data for a second. We're bringing it up now. We can see that the Norwegians had superior speed. On average, they were the fastest boat in that race with 5.8 knots of speed, and they covered the least amount of distance out of all the boats. So there's a clear pattern correlation this time around that speed won and distance mattered as well. There was a bigger mix-up in the race before. Minimizing maneuvers again was beneficial. And when it came to the sides, it's a mixed-up picture. But again, the boat that was furthest to the left, we've seen down here, the Swiss boat, Thunersee Yacht Club, minus 38 meters on average to the left. That certainly didn't pay off. I think you got to be careful with that left side. And, well, that's not a really very much breaking news to the sailors. You better go fast.
Well, what is really impressive about that is the stats back up the reason why that was such a massive victory for Norway, because on every important statistic, they are the superior boat. They were the fastest boat. They sailed the shortest distance by quite a significant margin. They did the fewest maneuvers, and they were the boat that stayed most central to the middle of the course. So all of those classic things that you want to be able to do, boat speed making you a tactical genius, all of those cliches, well, they were all put together very nicely by Norway in that just then.
Thanks to those great stats, to the SAP Sailing Analytics, which give us all the data and give us new eyes onto our racing and taking a lot of the mystery out of the sailing, but highlighting the strategy and tactics and all the skills that the sailors need to get their boat around the race course the fastest. That's data we didn't see before, and it really helps us to understand the racing.
Well, we have Suzanne down by shoreside helping us to understand a little bit more about the charity that's involved with Sailing Champions League. That's Childhood. Suzanne, tell us more.
Yes, I am standing here with Susanne Labunde from the Childhood Foundation. Susanne, welcome here to the Champions League. You've been on the water. What do you think?
I'm absolutely impressed. I went 4 rows. I mean, we did 4 rounds, and I'm absolutely thrilled how it works. I was excited to see the Swedish boat was quite advanced at sometimes, so then they had to make a full round, which wasn't ideal, but it was a fantastic experience. I really like it quite a bit. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome, Susanne. It's a great honor, and the reason why you are here is because you are from the Childhood organization who gets some support through this Champions League. Can you explain a little bit how you get support?
Yeah, so this is the first kickoff of a series of events, and we had, a wonderful experience with charity and sailing for quite some time. So Childhood is very well acquainted with the sailing sport since years. But this time we really had a new format, which is the so-called unlocking campaign. So thank you so much for all who already helped. And the way it works, it's really the more people who vote for their favorite club, the more Childhood gets in terms of donations, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's a very easy way to do donations for us. Thank you.
Yes, and the donations are free for people who go in and vote, because it's SAP who will help sponsor the foundation here, isn't that right?
Yeah, thank you very much for supporting us from SAP. So this is a wonderful kickoff for us, and thanks for Stefan to really initiate it all. Thank you.
And Susanne, what is Childhood? I guess there are some out there that are thinking, what is Childhood and what's the connection to sailing?
So Childhood is all about providing happy childhood to children at risk or children in need. And we support projects all over the world. We are active in 100 projects in more than 17 countries. And I would say, Childhood is really like a global brand. It is well known in the US, in Sweden, in Germany, in Brazil. And that's why we are very happy that we can even expand and get more people engaged with Childhood at the moment.
And how do you see charity and sailing or sports in general get together?
I think it goes well together, extremely well, because it is really something not only for racing, but it's for a good cause. You know, that makes a difference. And also when we talk to sponsors, we realize that they are really interested to listen. Okay, it's not only about sports, but it really is for a, you know, bigger good cause. And that's why people in businesses as well as in the private world are getting engaged, and we are very excited about this.
Well, I can only say that it's a big honor that we help sailing, or through the sailing that we help a lot of children around the world. And I'm very happy that you are here with us, Susanne. And now back to the studio for some more racing.
Thank you, Susanna, and thank you, Susanna, for explaining a little bit more about the charity childhood. And as the Susannas were just telling us, this is one of the simplest ways that you can support a charity, because you choose the club of your favorite club out of the 23 competing here. And if you're watching online and you don't have an affiliation with any of these clubs, then go to the bottom of the list and choose that club. Bump them up the list a little bit more. See if we can take on the might of Norddeutsche Regatta Verein that currently leads the standings with donations of more than €2,500. So please go online, make that click, and another €5 will go towards the charity childhood.
At the bottom of the list, we can see that already €17,795 were collected for the World Childhood Foundation, and we aim to raise €25,000. What a great additional feature of the Sailing Champions League, and thank you so much from SAP for supporting that foundation.
So, in the charity standings, it is NRV Norddeutsche Regatta Verein, but what about the standings after 8 flights of racing here? We're just past the halfway mark in the Sailing Champions League, and, well, if you've been following, it won't surprise you to see that it's the Italians, Zocalo Canottieri Agnelli, who have won 3 of their last 4 races.
And they have an impressive lead of almost 10 points. That means if they actually lose, flunk one race, don't even sail it, they'd be still leading.
So we say that there isn't a discard here. You can't throw out your worst score, but they have got such a lead that effectively they have earned themselves a discardable race.
But we've got lots of races to come, so let's look down the leaderboard who's also contending. We've got, no surprise, the winner of the German League, Norddeutscher Regatta Verein, in second place, closely followed by the Norwegians, KNS from Norway. And in fourth place, it's the KDY, the local heroes, steered by Michael Hesbeck in fourth place, and then the pros from Oman in fifth place with 45 points, still all very close to the podium, so a lot can happen there in the coming races. And in sixth place, it's Hellerup Sail Club, and the seventh is yours. Come on, Andy, go for it.
Watersport Vereniging Almere.
I don't do it. It's not that hard. It's Watersportvereniging Almere. What's so hard about it?
Watersport Vereniging Almere.
Yeah, tonight you have a beer and you go for that.
Yeah, it is
Practice
much
it
easier. You've started earlier than I did.
So go for eighth place. That's easy.
Vereinsseglerhaus am Wannsee.
Very good. Vereinsseglerhaus am Wannsee, and then it's a Union Yacht Club Mondsee. I'll do the German ones, and you. And in 10th place is Sport Nautique de l'Ouest from France. Top place French club. 11th place Union Yacht Club. We need to do an interview on the Austrians. Why all their clubs are called Union Yacht Clubs? That's an interesting feature. And in 12th place it's the Württembergischer Yacht Club, also from Germany. So let's look at page 2, and you take over that.
Gothenburg's Kunglig Segel Saliscap, they're from Gothenburg. Real Club Nautico de Gran Canaria from Spain. Cotaminde Sail Club, one of the locals from Denmark. Tunisi Yacht Club from Switzerland.
That's in 16th place.
17th Yacht Club Bregenz. 18th Yacht Club Costa Smeralda, a great race by them just then in second place. In 19th Kungliga Svenska Segel Sällskapet, and they are from Sweden. The Russians in 20th, St. Petersburg Yacht Club, just ahead of Great Britain, represented by Royal Thames Yacht Club in 21st place. In 22nd, another Russian team, Royal Yacht Club Moscow, and bringing up the rear is Stanislav Jakowski and his team from Hodzinski Club Ceglarski.
Awesome. That concludes the ranking after 8 flights, and we've got, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flights to go. Probably 2 or 3 more to go, but this concludes our broadcast for today, and we will be back on tomorrow. We see that there's some trouble out on the boat. Their nice move. They had to fix something on top of their rig. But that concludes today's broadcast, and we'll be back on at 11:45, and we'll surely continue till the end of the racing tomorrow to find out who's going to be the winner. The breeze is going to be up tomorrow. The forecast says the rain's going to be back as well, so it's going to be challenging conditions. If you want to follow the racing from here onwards, you just go to the Sailing Champions League webpage at sailing/championsleague.com, and from there you can get to all the live analytics from SAP and follow the racing live. Thank you very much for your commentary today, Andy. It was very enjoyable, and I'm looking forward for tomorrow. Anything you want to add?
Can anyone beat the Italians? The Italians are really coming into their own. We don't want to see them get it all their own way. We want a big showdown. So come on, the rest of the world. Let's see if you can beat Lorenzo Bressani and the Italians.
And we should expect a bit of a local advantage tomorrow with strong breeze and really terrible weather. And let's see how the Italians can cope with that. So maybe that's going to turn things around. We're going to have some serious, typical Copenhagen weather tomorrow, won't we?
Well, whatever it brings, we're going to get some more great racing. So we look forward to getting back with you tomorrow for the concluding day of the Sailing Champions League.